Ukipenda. We are streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro studios outside Washington, D.C. and we'll shortly be going live on YouTube. So please call in all your YouTube friends. And please remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages at The OneMic Show. And we're also on Instagram and TikTok at OneMic Show. We are also taking live calls tonight at 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. The number again is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Now tonight we step into a conversation many Kenyan families in the diaspora avoid until death happens. Suddenly, everyone is forced to make decisions in the middle of grief, from burial in the US or Kenya, to who takes charge, to what happens to the children, to the will, to the land, the bank accounts, the property back home, plus a cocktail of other issues. Now this is the moment where love, culture, religion, and sometimes greed all collide. So tonight, we ask the questions every diasporan must settle before crisis hits. If your life is split between Kenya and abroad, this episode is about protecting your family, your children, and your legacy. So start dropping comments below and let us know where you're tuned in from, what city, what state, what country. Na bila kusahau, tunapokea mziki toka DJ wetu Machachari, Mleta Habari, DJ Moshfire, na tunadunda kule viwanjani na Mika Oje zake nambari 7 mgongoni, akiletea habari za michezo. Moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios, ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kule kwetu wananiita mteule na wengi wananiita mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Karibuni. All right, now tonight we confront the conversation many Kenyan families in the diaspora avoid until death happens, where grief suddenly turns into urgent decisions. Is it burial here in Kenya? Who takes charge? The children, the will, the land, the bank accounts, the property back home, Mafuroti. This is a moment where love, culture, religion, and sometimes greed collide, unfortunately. So tonight we seek to ask what every diasporan must settle before crisis hits. So please drop a comment below and tell us what city, what country, and what state you're tuned in from. I can see Brenda BK all the way from Texas, Houston, Texas, is already tuned in. So karibu sana. And I can also see Esther Mulusa. I don't know that she's in the Daddy South, North Carolina, or if she's in Shimalavandu, Kakamega County. Please let us know. Drop a comment and let us know. And again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. 4570. Press a star 5 to speak. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. We have so much to cover tonight, so we are going to get started right away without wasting any time. Now, I want you to imagine this. A Kenyan father dies suddenly here in the US, and within hours, phone calls begin. The wife is grieving. The children are confused. The parents back home are asking when the body is coming to Kenya. The clan wants to know who is leading the funeral. The church has its expectations, and somewhere in the background, people are already whispering about land, bank accounts, insurance, and property back home. And the painful question becomes, who actually decides what happened next? Tonight, we are here to confront the conversation many diaspora families postpone until grief has already taken over. We'll talk about burial in Kenya versus America, funeral costs and Harambee, where we are truly planning, or rather, are we truly planning or just fundraising after failure? And then after the burial, who protects the spouse, the children, and the legacy left behind? We'll also get into culture, tribe, religion, Americanized children, and the practical steps every diasporan must clarify before death happens. So without much further ado, I'm going to go straight to my panel here, starting with DJ Moshfire, who's right next to me. DJ Moshfire, karibu sana. We're going to get started and get in the topic right away. So DJ Moshfire, when you hear these scenarios about death in the diaspora, what is generally the first thing that comes to your mind? Just generally speaking, whenever you hear a friend is dead, like a family member is dead, or someone in the diaspora is dead, what is the first thing that typically comes to your mind? DJ Moshfire.
Asante Ali. Thanks for that. I guess, I don't know if it's a nice introduction or it's a topic introduction. Lakini to our changiajis, habari yenyu. Thanks Ali for introducing me and that question, death in the diaspora. First thing out the door, mchango, si kwa ubaya.
Okay.
Again, I come from a community where I think I can count on one hand in the years that I've been in this country that we actually bury here in the US. So 9 times out of 10, that body is going 9.5 times out of 10, that body is going to Kenya, which means money is needed unless the family have the funds at hand, or that particular person who's passed away has made arrangements such that then money is not needed. But I think kwa mila, I don't know kama ni mila na desturi yetu, I don't know if it's just something we do where we just say, okay, there's a death, we have to changa. Whether they ask for money or not, we tunanyosha mkono, I guess.
So this idea of like having insurance and all these other things to protect the community in the event of death, so that your death is paid for, so that doesn't really work in your community, regardless of whether someone already has funds to take care of their funeral. They will automatically be mchango.
Not necessarily.
Okay, so
the thing is,
go ahead, Mika. Welcome to the show.
Mika, ngoja kwanza Omosha malize, and then I'm gonna come to you.
So okay, Paul Mikasi. So it's kind of like half and half. I think it depends on the family you're dealing with. One is A, are they involved with the community?
Okay.
Then B, whether they have insurance or not, the community bado huwa wanafanyaje, wananyosha mkono, especially kama hao walikuwa watu wa kunyosha mkono. So it's not like somebody sitting there and saying, hey boss, najua uko na insurance, use your insurance. Nobody's asking hizo swali, I guess, which where somebody might say ni swali mufti, but nobody's asking those questions.
Okay.
So fundraisers, it's almost like it goes without saying that you're going to do a fundraiser. Now, how big it is probably dependent upon maybe the needs and all those now other things that may or may not be known. Whether you're in a bereavement group, it becomes inaweza kuwa complicated.
Okay, fair enough. But by community kunyosha mkono, sometimes it means random people being added to a WhatsApp group. We're going to talk about that later on.
Yes.
Wacha twende kwa Mikasi. Mikasi was ready to go.
He was ready to fire from the hip. I think he already had
It's not necessarily fire from the hip, but
yes.
There's one concept here that you're forgetting, is that a funeral is something that's sad. It happened. Unless somebody, even when somebody was sick, nobody usually expects them to die the next day. Everybody's usually expecting them to get better. So funerals comes as surprises. Boom, right? And when a funeral comes as surprises, expenses start counting. Insurance don't pay up immediately. And the reason why you find the community most of the time getting into their pockets to start chipping in is because they understand that it comes with unnecessary expenses. People coming to pay vigil to you are people who need to drink water, drink tea, do the as much as people are coming to pay vigil to you, but it's still an expense that you're going to get. Your heat, your nini, your current expenses there. You're moving around. You're not working at that particular time because you've taken time off to organize for that funeral. Most people are paid per hour. That's a reality of most people. They're paid per hour. Their job don't cover bereavement at that point. So there's a short of income that's also coming in that you have to consider in such situations. And then the cost of actually burying in America and the cost of taking a body back home is the same. I think I've been in enough funeral committees where we've done the budget and it's usually nearly the same. The cost is usually nearly the same. In fact, in America, it's more expensive because with the cost of you just paying for the body to fly from here to Kenya, and then they deliver it up to Lee Funeral Home, and the cost of you burying here, just burying Aujeka headstone, is nearly the same. You put a headstone, doubles. So the things whereby when I think you've been in a few funeral committees where I've been.
Why?
We've come and see that it's actually makes sense to send back home. But the thing about people, the mchango is usually more about the immediate relief to the bereaved family than the family not being hawajajipanga financially.
Okay, all right, good. So Mika, of course, Omosh, you have talked about mchango, but whenever you hear death in the diaspora, For you, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear mtu fulani amefariki? If it's a friend of yours, if it's a family member, if it's anyone, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Maybe for me, it's usually like, whoa. It knocks me out very badly. And you guys have seen me how I've handled deaths of people who are friends. Like, it knocks me very badly because I don't think I'm ready to start banning my friends or banning people that I know. And when I first hear that somebody has died, for me, the first thought is usually with the family. How are they handling it? Like, especially with somebody I know, I'd be like, oh, sasa watoi. Because people who I know have young kids. And people who I know right now, if they're losing somebody, they're either losing their parent or they're losing their partners or themselves. And on that occasion, unfortunately, it might be a kid. So for me, it's usually more of the compassion of, damn, like how? It's shock. How did that happen, right? The immediate shock comes out, and then after that is when I start thinking, okay, nini nafanyika, tunapanga, nini na happen? Like, get into that mode of what's happening. If there's a group, it's a committee that's been formed and it's already helping, then fine, sit back. If they need contribution, send contribution. If they need any kind of help, where we can help. But mostly is usually, how is the family faring on with that? That's sadness, then how's the family handling that? Okay. And then trying to see how can we as a community help elevate the pain from that family? Because the thing about death is that no matter how many deaths you experience, each one of them has its own experience. I try quite the same.
Absolutely. So, Mika, asante sana. Now, before we go to OneMic, of course, you're tuned into the OneMic Show. We are talking about what happens when Kenyans die in the diaspora. Who does what? And I can see Warimu is already tuned in from Kali. Karibu sana, Warimu. Anasema this is a great topic. Just this year in my small circle here, we've had 5 harambes. Warimu also wants us to touch on disability insurance. Someone could sustain a career-ending injury in their prime earning years. So, Warimu, asante sana. Now, I want to come to you, OneMic, real quick. When death happens in the diaspora, a friend, family member, someone, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
So usually the first thing that comes to my mind is, what is the plan?
Okay.
And that varies.
Okay.
Atazikwa wapi.
Okay.
And also depends on the individual, because there's some people who don't have anyone here. So, and if you don't have a wife, you don't have a kids, that means that at some point probably the parents or the mother or the father wants the body back home.
Okay.
Because usually that is depending, okay, who is it? Okay, what's the plan?
Yeah.
If it's somebody who has got people here, again, what's the plan?
Yeah.
Atazikwa huku ama mwili itasafirishwa.
Yes.
Right? So then the next step is, okay, the next step is what's going on, or were there any plans that were laid? Like, what was the plan? Did they have a plan? If not, now you have to start scrambling, because it becomes a community effort.
Okay.
And by that community effort now, we harken back to what Omosh was saying, because unfortunately, even being in these very many chamas and whatever, your social capital is gonna take you
goes a
far.
long way.
Yes.
And your social capital will take you far.
And by social capital, do you mean how involved you are within the community?
How? Yes.
Okay.
If you're
How involved?
if you how involved, yeah. Like yeah, if you're
how is your relationship with people?
yes.
Okay.
That is your social capital.
Yeah.
So if you're a madhogodhanio person,
Yeah.
kazi yako tu ni kuswindle watu,
Yeah.
lakini uko na nini,
Then that becomes a problem.
it becomes a problem.
So,
But
people will sit silent.
of
know,
course,
it's interesting you say that thing about swindling.
Yes.
Because there are some people who we know personally who walikuwa hapo kwa swindle, but people came out for them. But anyway,
But then
carry on.
But then they might have.
You have to consider.
Yeah.
You have to consider labda brother yake ana social capital ya aina gani, ama sister yake ama friend yake ama nani.
Okay, I hear
Yes.
you. I hear you.
So lakini unajua pia kuna swindlers who maybe they swindle but they still have some social capital. For one
No,
reason
of
or
course,
another.
of course, of course.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're not, but you know, like it depends on what side of the fence you're sitting on, what
Yeah.
side of the mirror or
Divide.
cage you divide you're standing or seeing it from.
Yeah.
Right. So, and usually then that now begins the process of okay. Kama kuna wife or ex-wife,
Okay.
or if they're kids,
Or
like
the kids
it becomes very tricky and it becomes very dicey depending on the person involved, and especially a person of the Christian faith. Let us just say that.
Yeah. Now, talking about faith, you know, like on our side,
Yes.
Who is
sasa, our side, sisi wa Islam.
Okay.
When death happens, the thought process is entirely different. Because when death happens, we're thinking, how soon can we get this body under the ground?
Yes.
Meaning, can we do it before sunset?
Not necessarily before sunset. Before sunset is rare. I know you then witnessed my my grandmother's
yes.
burial here.
Yes.
That was very rare. She died very early in the morning, and by I think it was by 5
3.
before sunset.
I think we buried her by 3.
No, it wasn't 3.
Or was it 4?
It was after Asr prayers, after the 4 o'clock prayers. So it might have been because
It
I
was
remember
before 5.
I remember when we were living in the graveyard, I was seeing, you know, like the sun
Setting?
set. Yeah. So it was around that time. It was around 5. So
Okay.
when we faced death, you know, like, and that's the closest death that I've experienced here. And also I've lost my cousin in Delaware. In Delaware, my cousin was buried within I think it was within 72 hours. So it took
So
up
at least,
it
so
took
at least
3
they
days.
gave you kidogo time.
Yes, you know, like.
But what's the difference?
So the thing is, achieving a same day burial in the US for a Muslim is very rare.
Oh.
Back home, it's common. Yeah,
Okay,
same day
okay,
burial.
okay,
In fact,
okay.
even my grandmother's situation.
Back home by
baffled so
sita
many
mambo
people.
inakuanga imemalizwa.
Yeah, back home, if you died before noon, especially in places like Mombasa,
Correct.
utazikwa the same day.
Yes.
Utazikwa either
Yes.
after the 4
Yeah.
o'clock prayer,
Yeah.
or maybe sometimes before after the Maghrib prayer. So out here, when one of us dies, the first thing we're thinking about, there are no WhatsApp groups, there are no michangos, is how soon can we get this body under the ground? And there's multiple things that have to be done before the body is gotten under the ground. Lazima mwili washwe. Yeah, there's a ritual bathing that's done, you know, like before the body is put under the ground. Now, back home, most mosques have a space to do this. Now, out here, because of regulation and everything, it's certain designated mosques. So that's the one thing that I came to learn. Yes.
Very interesting. I learned that
Yes.
through when grandma died.
Yes. So when grandma
So
died,
it's not just any mosque.
it's not any mosque.
no.
Yeah, it's not any mosque. There's certain designated mosques that are allowed to do that because you're handling a dead body.
Okay.
And then if someone dies at home, there's a process that some reporting has to be done. You cannot just take them
Via
from
the
home.
county, right? Or
Yeah.
whatever jurisdiction you live in.
Whatever
Yeah.
jurisdiction has different laws, but generally speaking, you can't take the body from home to a grave site like what we would do back in
in
Kenya.
254,
Yes, if someone dies at home, ni kutoka nyumbani, watu wanakuja, maiti inaoshwa hapo nyumbani, ama
They
inapelekwa
wrap
and and then it's
and
taken there.
out
Yeah,
in
procession.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that can't happen here. So here you have to learn. In fact, right now, you know, like there's a new group that we formed for Kenya Muslims in the DMV. We are mapping out the different clusters and which are the closest places, you know, like in case you're faced with death, because you have to have a place where the body is going to be washed. And then there also has to be, you know, like a grave site. There's now multiple Muslim grave sites in the area. So yeah, so generally speaking, yeah,
Muslim cemeteries.
Muslim cemeteries, yes. So generally speaking, the first thing we think of is how we bury. We don't bury with a coffin. We simply bury with a white cloth.
A shroud.
So ni kazi rahisi. So we think about how to put the body in the ground. Then everything else now follows. You remember when you came from my grandmother's burial, there's usually an announcement that's made before people leave the gravesite. If there's anyone who the dead person owed money or anything of that sort, please let us know. The reason why that's announced is because debts have to be cleared before inheritance is distributed. And this means also unsecured debt, credit card loans, like by American law, unsecured debt disappears when someone dies. But now in Islam, there's no debt that disappears. Yes. So if there was any debt that's known, it first has to be paid before.
So who does the paying?
So like a bank loan for if
State.
somebody had a bank loan for a car.
If
That one has to be sorted.
If there's any known debt,
Any known debt.
if there's any known
Okay.
debt,
Okay.
and of course this is the US, like Islamic law doesn't apply,
Right,
but the
but
families now try to fulfill this before now
close as possible.
Yes, before inheritance kicks in, is distributed. Yeah, so
Meaning before the estate is divided.
before the estate is divided. Yeah, so
Okay.
debts, two things have to be done. Debts have to be paid, and funeral expenses. Funeral expenses. If the family, for example, were not able to afford, if this person still has money, that money has to come from there for the funeral expenses, and then now everything else follows. So very different process. When it comes to death within the Muslim community, wherever we are in the world, whether we are in Kenya, we do not transport bodies. Yeah, nikifa hapa, mi nazikwa hapa. If I'm on vacation in Spain and I happen to die there, na kuna Waislamu huko. Yes, they will pick me up and they will bury me, and then everything else will follow. A bit unusual, from what people are normally used to, but that happens, and then everything else follows.
For Christians, it's very unusual.
Yeah,
Let us
Correct.
say that.
But Ali, these cases that I have seen where, let's say, and I'll give an example of one that I know of.
Hata si Dubai kuna mwili tulipeleka home ilitoka
yeah,
West
yeah,
now.
there are rare cases.
That's what I was going to ask. Kind of like what Mika was saying was like in this particular case, this person was, I think they were a pilot na waliaga in the UK, lakini walirudishwa nyumbani back to Kenya.
Yes.
So I'm sure there's a Muslim community in the UK. So what is it that would make that particular one different, or is it also family kicks in, ama kuna kakitu, or what?
So it's not forbidden to transport the body, but the general idea is that this body has to go inside the ground as quickly as is practically possible.
So the whole idea is the efficiency, because also storage of body is expensive. Like kutoa burden to kwa family, sindio? Make it quick as possible.
Yes, it's to make it as efficient as possible. And in cases where maybe it's a wealthy family or it's a situation, come a pilot, they will transport the body. Yeah, that is okay. But in the general sense, when that time arrives, there's a process that starts immediately, and part of this is to give the family also a chance to give the family a chance to grieve, because remember, with the more the time passes by, there are so many things that are happening. So it's generally speaking, and the interesting thing when you look at African culture, and part of the reason why I also feel Islam was able to gel very easily within African cultures. When you consider General Ogola, who said that he was going to be buried, using, traditional Luo culture.
Correct.
People were asking if he's a Muslim. And that's because, the traditional way, traditional way of how Luos did it was also actually, a very chap thing.
Correct.
To add Cukes, this is what I learned. Cukes, ukikufa leo unatupa msituni.
Correct. Yes, the forest. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So,
was
Which is the
common,
same
back
thing.
then,
I mean,
yes.
when you say it is like mambo ni chap, you keep it moving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not until tuliletewa Biblia tukaanza kuambiwa mambo 45. Carry on.
And we're going to talk about the religion
and
part.
I think also here the elongation of days to bury Pia, it's more dependent on the status of the family and the wealth of the family.
Yeah.
Because ukiangalia usually unasikianga nani alikufa anazikwa kesho ama anazikwa kesho kutwa, like the families families zingine unaona wako na, like, people expect people who have money, they expect the funeral thing the funeral to be grateful and long, like the whole process of mourning and everything. But I know for us, Kathos, what it usually is like they will do a mass for you. If you're in Nairobi, they'll do your mass for you in your Nairobi Nini church.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go home, the church in Ocha is the one that's going to bury you. But the church that you usually go to, you have to have a mass there.
Okay.
Before they take you to be buried.
Now, Atieno Jimbo says, kwa hiyo Muislamu has to be sure to have manageable debt. You know, when it comes to the debt situation, you know, like things are very elaborate. Everything has to be written. You know, like even ikikupatia loan, it's supposed to be written, and there has to be at least, it's usually at least 3 witnesses. To that debt.
Oh,
yes.
Interesting.
Yes, any kind of debt.
So aka kakitabu, it's like your little ledger.
Yeah.
Umeandikisha so that. Okay.
So it has to be written, and then the terms of the terms
loan.
of the loan, whatever you've agreed upon, even if it's pay me whenever you can. And then there has to be 2-3 witnesses. So typically, when someone, tuseme Ali amekufa, and someone comes and claims akona debt, sometimes the family will just pay, but in some cases they're entitled to ask,
where was it written?
Where was it written? And who, you know, like who are the witnesses to confirm that the debt was taken. And actually this system, you know, like it sieves out people who did not plan, who are planning not to pay you. You know, kawaida ukichukua deni, there are people who take debts and they have plans not to pay you. So ukifika mambo ya kuandikiana, whoever was planning not to pay you will disappear. They will not agree to
and
that.
I think let me say this before I think the system, let's say for like now what Akina Ali do, has been so ingrained in them from when they were children.
Correct.
Such that it is their DNA.
It's not a surprise.
It's not a surprise.
Yeah.
No.
But also
Even the way they handle money.
Yeah, like it is ingrained in them to be straight. It's ingrained in them to be honest, and it's ingrained in them already from when they were toys. We're talking about like 3, 4, 5, 6, such that by the time there's a system of honesty ish.
So
honor, for lack of a better word.
So I would put it this way. You know, like we're humans like everyone else. Sometimes I feel like we have an unfair advantage because there's a book, and I don't know how to translate this. You know, there's a verse in the Quran that says Alif Lam Mim Dhalikal Kitabu La Raiba Fihim Hudan Lil Mutakin. It's so basically the translation is,
no, just say it and then translate.
Alif Lam Mim Dhalikal Kitabu La Raiba Fihim Hudan Lil Mutakin. So translation is usually, people sometimes wonder why there's an emphasis on studying this in Arabic, is because some of these words are very untranslatable, like mutakin. So basically that translation, this is just paraphrasing, it's not word for word, is this book is a guidance, Dhalikal Kitabul, which has no doubt in it, and it's a guidance to the people who are fearful of God. Your mutakin, it has a very special translation. Okay. It doesn't have an equivalent of English. So the thing is that no doubt, and that's one of the first, you know, like on the first after the opening chapter, that's the one that comes after. And by this, it comes to like these things that we do. There's no doubt, you know, like whatever rules or laws or things we have, there's no doubt about them, and that's why typically people don't debate about it. So sometimes people may do it, they may not do it, but there's no doubt about what it is, which I think sometimes is an advantage that we have, you know, like whichever part of the world we are in. Yes, of course, there's sometimes disagreements when it comes to interpretation, but generally speaking, you'll see Muslims burying in a similar way. You'll see them doing certain things in a similar way. So this takes off a lot of burden in terms of, you know, like different opinions. Huyu anataka hivi, na yule anataka hivi, na huyu anataka hivi. And generally I also tell people some of this, you know, like the precedent of things is for things to be, community is the first priority before individual. So sometimes, because in these Western education systems, we are taught individual first. But with us, it's community first.
Yes.
So some of these things are not meant to make you happy or to make you comfortable, but for the overall community, the burden is lightened and it's made easier. So that's part of the reason why, because of the fact that these things have no doubt, is the reason why, you know, like things maybe seem easier for us or things happen quicker. There are no differences in opinion. But now the other thing that I wanted to know, you know, like before we get in depth into the religious part, why do generally people wait here in the diaspora until death happens before asking questions that should have been answered years earlier? You know, like, because death happens all the time out here in the diaspora, and all the time you're seeing the same questions being asked upon people dying. You know, like, why is that the case? You know, Mike, let me start with you. You being an elder in the Bodimo community.
Why would you?
You're an elder. You're an elder, my guy.
Elder wa
My
Murima.
guy, you're an elder.
Yes,
You're an
elder wa
elder.
Murima.
Kubali to your
Okay.
title.
I think death is a taboo. It truly is a taboo.
Yeah.
And even discussing it or the potential of is, in urban legend wise or whatever, is forbidden.
Yeah.
Because the assumption or the notion is, if you speak about it, you are willing for it to come.
You're opening the door.
But in a sense, we are all going to go through that path.
Yeah.
Correct.
But discussing about it, it's like you're hackening. You're like you're speeding it up.
Yeah.
You're a
And-
catalyst.
Yes, you're catalyzing. You know, ni kama unaanza hizo unaweka propellant.
Yeah.
And I think that is why, because even when we were growing up, death was. It's like
It was even hidden from us as
Exactly.
kids.
Yeah.
Ati nani
It was
amekufa,
hid- it was hidden.
It was hidden.
And you know, and if it happens, it's like, okay, it is God's will, and we keep it moving, or we start thinking. But over time, being an elder, experience has taught me. When I say that,
You're an
being
elder.
an elder,
You're an elder. You're an elder. Kubali tu.
Yeah, wacha wewe.
Elder,
What I've
MC.
learned, and recently it has taught me to like really reflect, because we are getting to that age where, one, our parents are of the age where health is an issue, like wanafika hapo, and it was really hammered home recently, because one of my unks, rested. But for the last, I want to say 4 years, huyo mzee alikuwa ameandika what he wanted,
Okay.
how he wanted to go,
Yeah.
na ikazua rapture family.
Oh.
As in before
Oh,
he
his
died
wish.
or
No,
after?
after.
Okay.
Or when they saw what he wanted.
What he wanted,
Okay.
Oh, wow.
because
And why is that?
there's the mutaratara of,
Yeah.
like being
This is the
Christian,
process.
Tumepanga hivi.
ki-
Hivi ndio si upanga.
what, when you're doing memorials and stuff, kuna tributes, kuna memoriam, kuna nini, kuna
Yeah.
nini, kuna nini,
Kuna ratiba.
ako nataka hiyo.
Yeah.
It caused problems, but those were
His instruction.
his
and his
instructions and his
yeah.
will. And I'm speaking here without the authority of, but it is important because it's a conversation that has been had since after, where, boss, anytime, any day, any hour, as they'll say, the Bible says anytime, any day, you're not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unaona?
There's no guarantee. And
Unaweza enda
whatever
kul-
age.
Unaweza enda kulala
Correct.
And
na
usiamke.
utamka.
Yeah.
Unaona, how many stories have we heard of people who mulikuwa nao
Yeah.
Yes.
at a function,
Yes.
or you spoke to a guy, 2 hours later unaambiwa,
Amazing.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
or a guy
Akwamka.
falls sick, then you're like,
Yeah.
how?
Yeah.
So then the question is, okay, because you don't plan, you're 40, you're 50, you're 30, you're 80, you're 7, because we anticipate these things to happen when you're 90,
Yeah.
95.
Uko gongalo.
Uko.
Uko. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think death is a taboo that we have been brought up, among other things, to really not discuss or even anticipate.
Yeah.
As in when you said, and that is why, like, sometimes when we talk about Africa Welfare Association, where it's good just to get yourself ready.
Okay.
By the way, tunataka mkuja hapa mlipe kerea. You know, where you know, that's why they have health insurance, life insurance, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
For anticipation, so that you alleviate the burden of the community. Because when ukisikia michango, when we're talking about $50 to $100 per.
Yeah.
Minimum, let's say $100.
Yeah.
Depending on your
Per
community
head,
and where you are.
Yeah.
Now, if you've been in, there's a time I was engaged in 5 of them.
Yeah.
And that is why, like, when I see of organizations like MDKO,
Yeah.
it alleviates a burden because there's a certain amount that you get. Like,
But who does it alleviate the burden from? That is a big question. Does it alleviate the burden from the community? Because, like you said,
All of
if you're a
all of the
member,
above.
yeah.
It's
if
all
you're a
of the
member,
above.
it's
Yeah.
all the above. But if you're a member, you know here, okay, because
I
agree. and that is-
rarely hear, you know, like, do not form this WhatsApp group because insurance eco, it is sorted.
Okay.
Now that is an issue, and
now-
I think even Keguro was here and he talked about that.
Yeah.
Because you really cannot stop or prevent people from doing that,
From
because
opening up,
sometimes people will take advantage. Kusema ukweli, there are people who will take advantage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And people will also sometimes spend that money in ways that is not
Questionable.
befitting. That is
I
questionable.
mean, that is
but
absolutely
and what
that is
here's what,
absolutely
yes,
true.
and here's what I would say, Ali. This also goes back to your pet peeve of inaitwaje zile za kutoa saa zile watu wanaenda kuoana.
What do you call it?
Pre-wedding.
Wedding shower.
Yes.
Oh,
Iyo.
pre-wedding.
Iyo.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is
Hizo hapo, mia unipati.
what I'm saying is
Yeah.
ukishatoa wewe kama mwenye kutoa,
Yeah.
you pray and hope and wish that ule mtu umesaidia
Yeah.
anatumia hizo.
Unajua,
Go ahead, Mika.
unajua kitu ya matanga, bora alizika vizuri. Itafanywa kwa sababu baki
Correct. We pray and hope that they use the money correctly.
Yes.
There are
it was
others-
idea,
Yeah.
Cause matanga, expenses za matanga zishangi sikio matanga. Zoendelea.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
So
Makosa ni ule mwenye atakula pesa ya matanga, huyo ndo atalaaniwa.
No, kuna wale wanda kununua udongo, and there are many by the way. There are many by the way, because pesa inaingia mob, wanafanya whatever they're supposed to do. Maybe you belong to 5 different chamas, and I'm assuming, or 5 different what's our
Utaassumiwa ni inheritance
right?
yake.
Yes, correct. So hizi do zikiingia, contribution ya hour 1 takes care of the matanga.
Yeah.
The other 4 hours you go buy 4 kaplotis, or you buy 3 kaplotis and you jenga on 2 of them,
which
and
makes
then
sense.
1 of them you hold on to. So
Which is fine.
Which is fine if it's taking care of the family.
Yeah.
If
And
those
that was-
plot is going
yeah.
And that was-
away and taking care of the family, that is okay.
And that was what Lawrence was saying with our. You have not health insurance.
Repatriation.
You have got
Repatriation.
insurance. You've
Yeah.
got life insurance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of tapping into that, just join our. So that our takes just care of the barrier, because you're not going to get money, but what they're going to do is they're just
They'll
going
sort
to
out
they'll-
everything, yes.
everything.
Yeah.
Hii pesa inakuja unapatia familia,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
For living
And
expenses
whatever it
and so on and
is,
so forth, yeah.
it can do
The
that.
lost income of that
Yeah.
particular person, assuming their income manner.
Yes.
So on and so
But
forth,
back to your question. The
But
the
kuna
main
watu
issue
kula
is-
pesa ya matanga.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
There will always be those.
Yes.
There will always be those people who will. They will always be those elements. But ultimately, ni ile your community help. What Mika was talking about, like it's that Kikuyus have this thing, moshumari, your nail. It's the symbolic of putting a nail. For lack, I'm gonna say it, but don't take it badly. Putting a nail in a coffin.
Okay.
But that nail, nemushumare, like what is your contribution? So whatever it is, it could be
Okay.
$5, 5 shillings or whatever. Ni kusindikiza.
Kusindikiza.
That is
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Now, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Leo hatujasikia sana. I don't know that people are fearful of death. That's why they
Again,
don't want
it
to
is
comment.
taboo, boss.
Yes.
I'm telling you. You watch.
You
Yes.
know, we have been conditioned
Yeah.
not to talk about this.
Okay.
And
Because, like, right now,
unaita.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like right now, if you ask, like, you know, do you have a will? Do you have a will?
That's a good question.
Mika, do you have a will? Does Muturi have a, I mean, one make have a will?
And that's something that...
Does Shima Lavandu have a will?
Yeah, and
But-
that's an issue
Oh,
that we're
okay,
going to talk
sawa,
about.
sawa.
Now, there were some questions here that had come from Atieno Jimbo before I forget them. And Atieno Nauliza, Ali, what about debt owed to the departed Muslim by a fellow Muslim? Is the debtor forgiven or expected to pay the family of the deceased? This one, I'm not 100% sure, you know, like I have to go back and check. But what I know is if there's witnesses, you know, like because as part of your estate planning in your will, you also have to write the people who owe you money. Yes, because here's the interesting part, and this is now coming
Is it
from
something that is
different schools of
encouraged?
thoughts.
Is it something that is encouraged when you guys are growing up? Or like, is it something that is just talked about?
So it is encouraged to do that, to prepare, you know, like a will. It's something that's encouraged to do that. Not everybody does it, but it's encouraged to do that. Part of what you're writing there is people who owe you money, because that is wealth that's going to the people who you're gonna leave. And here's the interesting part. In certain schools of thought, and this is where sometimes there's different interpretations that come. There are people, when they're calculating the amount of money that you're supposed to pay annually on zakat, money that you've given out in debt is still considered part of your wealth, and you're still supposed to pay zakat on it. And this is different
Interesting.
schools of thoughts. It's different schools of. There's one
But
school
you're not
that says,
holding it. How do you pay on it?
but that's the thing, you know, like
Interesting.
you know, like a loan is considered a loan in Islam is considered charity, because you're not allowed to profit from giving out a loan.
Okay.
So it's considered some you know, like a certain form of charity. You're helping someone who's in distress, but this is still part of your it's still part of your wealth. It's still part of your net worth. It's just that someone hasn't paid you back.
Okay,
so that's supposed to
the
be
thought
written
is you'll
also.
eventually get it back.
The thought is that you'll eventually get it back.
So
and
you need to
remember,
count it.
And remember, when you're writing that in your will, you're also writing who the witnesses are, who the witnesses were on that debt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no doubt, you know, like that there was debt, and the reason why sometimes there's a request for 2-3 witnesses is if one is not available, maybe moja amefariki ama mwingine, there's always another
backup.
one. Yeah, there's always a backup and a backup here. So that's a part, you know, like the science of a debt is very interesting, because riba, interest, is completely forbidden in Islam. There's another question that was coming from Doreen Florence, who's asking, why are women not allowed to witness the body being buried? This is another interesting phenomena. It's not that women are not allowed,
But they witnessed, right?
so and
That is scary, because
so-
I
that's
missed,
where-
I missed Shosho's thing.
So
you were
remember,
there. We went.
No, I
remember,
wasn't there. I missed it.
yeah, Uno Mike missed it, but remember,
I couldn't make it.
remember in
Okay.
remember in Islam there's a respect for cultures. You know, like in the Quran it says people were created in different cultures. So in cultures where women were not allowed to go to the graveyard, there's a lot of African cultures, there's a lot of South Asian cultures where women were not allowed to go to the graveyard. So it was allowed as Muslims. If this is your culture, it is okay. But in cultures where women are allowed, like if you come to a graveyard in the US, you'll see women. So for me, my first time to see women in a Muslim graveyard was in the US, and I had to go back and you know, like be taught, you know, like what's called the fiqh of burial. Because you come from a certain area.
The fiqh, what is it?
Fiqh is jurisprudence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is the legal jurisprudence. What governs, you know, things like burials. So it's not been forbidden for women to go out to the graveyard. But because there's a lot of cultures where women already don't go, so even a lot of Muslims, I got to know this when I came here. And the people, like when you go to the people who've studied, you know, the legal jurisprudence, they will tell you, like it's not forbidden for women to go to the graveyard, but actually at the burial site, the people who are taking the body and lowering it inside the grave ni wanaume, because sisi hatuna sanduku, we do not lower it. I think you guys witnessed.
Correct, yes.
We drop inside the grave. We go inside the grave.
Yes.
So we are very intimate with the body.
Yeah,
and this is supposed to be a lesson, like to you, that this is where we'll all go. So you lower the body, you go 6 feet under, you lay it facing in a certain direction. And then, now once everything is inside that little cubicle that's created in there, then mnaifunika na kama some pieces of wood, and then you're lifted out, and then now you cover the body. So it's a very intimate process, because remember, we were also
and the body is
the
turned
body.
a certain way, turned to face
Turned to face the direction where
Yes.
we pray, which is
Yes.
called the Qibla. Yeah, so it's turned to face that direction.
man.
Yeah, so it's very
that's-
precise.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very precise, and so that, Doreen, that's that's and if you go Google this, you'll find like different variations of this, but generally speaking, that's a case. In Kenya, for example, when you go to Muslim graveyards, you will never find women. It's mostly the men. The women, like if it's a woman who died, they're gonna wash the body, and then the men will take over and they will take it to the graveyard in places like Mombasa, ama kama umona palikama Kariako, Majengo.
Yes.
Like when someone dies,
Now,
people
I'm gonna
actually
go
carry
back.
the body. People actually carry the body
Yes, they
physically.
carry the body physically. Yes.
Yeah,
No,
they
I've
don't
seen
stop
that.
putting a
No,
card.
I've seen that
and
with
they
the,
go on
wrapped,
there,
wrapped in
Yes,
the
Wrapped
white
in a
cloth.
cloth na iko
Yeah.
ndani ya hiyo jeneza, just to transport it to the gravesite, and then inatolewa. That's
Then
just to transport
then
it.
unatolewa kwa hiyo nini,
Yeah.
the first cover, and then you're wrapped, now you're buried
Yeah.
with the nini, yeah.
Yeah,
Very
and so,
man.
yeah.
It's-
So it's
yeah.
very different. But unaona hata ukija America, it's still the same thing. You'll still get, like maybe with some slight variation here and there. Another question here, Atieno Jimbo is asking,
Or stating.
or rather, before Atieno Jimbo's question, Doreen is asking, Ali, what age does one start writing that book? I think, please fafanue hiyo swali. I think you mean a will.
I think she means the book ile unaandikisha madeni, unaandikisha
That's the will.
nini.
Isn't that the will? That's
No,
that's not the will.
No, that's not the will.
That's your
For
debt.
a debt, you have to write, like
It
debt.
should be
It
at
should
the
be
time
any
it
debt.
occurs.
It should at the time it occurs
Okay,
with
okay.
witnesses.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So that is whatever age you are. If you're issuing loans to people, you should be writing it, and they should be. And in fact, the way it's been written, because literacy is a very recent thing in humanity. It's just the last 150 years when most human beings were literate. Even before literacy, it's been said that if you do not know how to write, find a scribe. Find people who know how to write and let them write it for you, and they should write it in a just way. So this is something that we've been practicing for so many hundreds, over 1400 years. The other question that was being asked here, Atieno Jimbo is asking, part of the reason people don't prepare for the inevitable is because they do not want to deal with the family drama or argument about wills, trust, finances, funeral arrangements. They would rather die and let those left behind figure it all out after they're gone. Is this really the case?
I don't think so. I don't know. There is and usually, and I don't know about Muslims, but Christians, I'm going to say Christians. That is when somebody passes away,
Yeah.
is when you start seeing people coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
You find out
There's a
Mzee had got 2 wives
Yeah.
and 3 children
And 4 goats.
and whatever.
Yeah.
So they want part of the inheritance.
Yeah.
That is 1. 2, Mzee probably never had a family out there,
Yeah.
but never told kids or his family where his properties are.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's... Because another thing is, and that's why we're having this discussion about succession.
Yeah.
Because I will tell you for free, if you haven't, start now talking to your folks, mom, dad, if they have stuff.
Yeah, and the people around
And
you
actually,
as well.
This Omoshi is the one who has been very, yani nile saa zingine anasumbua. He lights a fire like, yo, can you go and find out what is what? Get a trust. Put all that stuff together.
Yeah.
Put it in a trust so that in case anything happens, hakuna madhogodhanio ya people coming out of the
kupigana.
woodworks.
Yeah.
Because, potentially what would eventually happen, and this is the thing that a lot of us need to understand, it's not necessarily, say, the family members. It's the
Mahongo.
it's the incoming family members who chocha.
What do you mean by incoming
When
family
I say
members?
incoming, tuseme sasa sisi ni mandugu.
Yeah.
We both have other halves. Okay? My other half's opinion on how things should be done
Yeah.
influence how I then now come back to deal with my family,
Okay.
as opposed to us as brothers dealing with each other. And it's unfortunate, but that happens quite a bit because you spend a lot of time with your other half. It's no pun intended, but the whole point of it is that unajua tuseme sasa, let me just use an example, tuseme the Badawi family. The Badawi family wako na udongo yao. Ni udongo ya Badawi family. Okay? But then somebody else will think that, okay, because I am spouse of, then I am entitled to, and which means pia naweza ingia hapa nikate hii kitu, hata pengine niuze, nipate hela, niendelee na maisha. Juu, huyu mtu wangu hayupo. But for it to stay within the family, that's not what should happen because it's ancestral. It should be passed down. And some of these things, it's hard to teach. You can't really teach them. But then when you lay out rules and you say, okay, this is how we want all of this to happen. It's ancestral land. He will pass it on down in the family. It should stay like this, like this. So if you can put it in a protective enclosure, aka this trust, then the rules of the trust are solid and they should work, then all things, equal, it should not break. Though you can break them. That's also another thing about a trust. Because even though you've set it up, normally trust yenyewe huwa na administrator. And then, kwa hii trust kuna members. Sasa hawa members inategemea na vile wanaongea na administrator. What they can collude and go, and that happens quite a bit. So you have to try to, in as much as at the end of the day, it comes down to the will of the people in it and whether they are being straight, legit, or they are basically, like in our IT terms, bad players. If they're bad players, na uko na roho chafu, utakuwa roho chafu regardless, no matter what is put in there, because goals zako ziko unania mbaya, niseme hivyo.
I think one of the things that we need to, schedule for a future episode is the science of trusts. Because it's one of those sciences that people talk about, but in all honesty, most people do not understand what a trust is.
We need to get a subject matter, Ashmi.
Yes, Ashmi.
In trust.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, what Omosh is saying, in as much as I look at Islam and Christianity,
yes,
I think Islam is so far ahead, way ahead, in terms of I'm gonna say trusting the process, because the process has been so ingrained, and like he was talking about that thing that he talked about, that what he said about, what did you say?
Which one?
The one it's already ordered. No.
Alif Lam Mim Dhalika al-Kitab la rayba fihim hudan lil muttaqin.
That one.
Yes.
So it's already ingrained that this is ordained, or this is the process.
These are the rules.
Yeah.
These are the rules.
And they're the true rules.
So
in your compass.
That is their guiding. That is
Yes,
their
this is
guiding.
the
No,
compass you use.
that is it.
Yeah.
On this other flip, on this other side, the question we have sana mostly is like now we have a president who is a Bible thumping Christian, whatever. The wife prayed for salty water and whatever. He's and he's a president. He talks about the Bible. He's a teetotaler, and then he's nimewongo. Like you're like, okay, is this and that taints. It taints a lot.
And
it taints a lot. And it's something that you probably cannot, you'll not get. You won't understand.
I think you're being unfair here when you take an individual's behavior to be a representation of a religion.
No, I'm not doing that.
Yes, that's what you're doing.
No, I'm not.
Because that's what you did. Because you talked about Christianity and said we have a Bible thumping president who's a liar, and you literally made him as a representative of Christianity.
Not really, but okay.
Yes, no, that is how it looks. The
okay.
optics of it. That's how it
Optics,
looks.
but that's not it. But
Yeah,
carry on.
yeah, okay, but then I'm
It's
saying the
not
optics
it,
of it.
but carry on.
The optics are what people are going to look at.
Not really, but yeah.
What I'm trying to say is this.
Mhm.
You know, one thing we are forgetting when you're having in this conversation is that we are forgetting the social aspect of it, right? The social aspects of it come in terms of, in a place like Kenya, to bury somebody, you have to get a burial permit. Even here, you have to get a burial permit, right? Which takes time. You have to get a burial permit. You have to apply. Mwende mwambie chief na niye amekufa.
Correct.
Ikuwe justified amekufa mwenye burial permit na nini. This take time into the planning of the funeral, right? This also have become things that people have come to take with them into normalcy into them. So it doesn't become that just because somebody is a Christian is why they do this. They do this because it is what is required to be done. Right? So the thing about religion, and it's quite simple. Hata kwa Biblia imeandikwa, it's between you and your God. Wewe na Mungu wako. Simple as that, right? What's the church? You and God, right? Ni wawili. Mtakuwa na watu wengi, but it's between wewe na Mungu wako. Ya mwisho. On judgment day inakuanga ni wewe pekee. Hakunanga mtu mwingine. You can pretend, you can do whatever you want to do, but you'll be judged individually. That's what the good book says, right? So the church, the religion is just a vessel for you for worshiping. How you decide to live your life is up to you. That's why uko na commandments umepewa hapo za kukuguide. That's why uko na scripture ya kukumbusha when you're moving astray. You're not supposed to be, because you're a Christian, useme sasa mimi ni mwerevu naenda hivi. It's about how you yourself, a relationship, and how you living your life within God's parameters, how God is judging you. That is how the Bible, in simple terms, define how you're supposed to be worshiping.
So let me.
But when it comes to history and burial, right? We also have to consider that there's a lot of social aspects that do come in kwa time ya matanga. Kumbuka pia kwa sababu pia, since death is a taboo, where you put a grave, you have defecated that land, you have defaced that land. Quite a chunk of that land can be used kwa sababu ina kaburi.
Ina kaburi, yeah.
Unaona?
But I
So
want to
those are
add
things
something.
that also people have to come and talk about, wasikizane waongee, wasikizane waseme. So those are things that can come and elongate that process of burial and cause the mvutano of burial and burial, ndio ikaeni kama hakuna structure. But usually there's structure, especially if, you know, I don't want to say that I've been lucky, but I've happened to sit with the wazes during a planning of the funeral. Nyinyi wenye mnapanganga pesa, mnakimbia huko, mnafanya hivi na zile vitu hao watu wanafanya. Nyinyi mnakwanga na budget yenu, lakini kuna kitu hao wazee wasiposikizana amtasonga na hiyo budget yenu na timeline yenu. Because wazee ndo wanashikilia kila kitu. Because like they want to make sure that also the laws of the lands and the rule of the lands are followed kwa hii matanga yenu yenye mnapanga. So kuna aspect ya kanisa, kuna aspect ya tradition pia inakuja kuingia hapo, alafu kuna hii aspect ya pesa inakuja kuingia.
So I want to add something, Nika, to what you've said, which I think, and you've described it very well, you know, like this is, you know, it's up to an individual. So here's the one big difference, you know, like with Islam. The idea that religion is individual is not there in Islam. And that's one fundamental difference that maybe is quite visible right now. The idea, because you have to remember, the world generally, when you look at most of the world, this idea of, for example, secular government, nation states, this is a very recent, it's a very recent idea. There was a time, you know, like for those who are students of history, who be it whether people were in kingdoms or whatever, Roman Empire or whatever empire, there was always religion played a dominant aspect, in people's lives.
Very big aspect.
It played a very
big
dominant
aspect,
aspect. So these changes were very recent. And because the idea of secularism was that, religion is not supposed to, it should be an individual thing. It's you, your private thing. But with Islam, that has never been the case. And that notion was rejected, because in as much as religion is private, there's certain very public aspects about it. If you're coming to take, unakuja kuchukua deni kwangu na nakwambia tuandikiane, let's call witnesses, that is no longer private, because there's and there's so many things, for example, kama tuko kwa, we are in a park, like we were Kenya Muslims, the DMV last weekend. We are having a picnic, na ni time ya swala. We are gonna pray in a public space, and people are gonna see us. So hiyo idea ati nenda pali ukajifiche, it's okay, you can do it privately, but then again, it's also not private. So that's one of the other very fundamental differences that are there, in that we have not gotten into that point where we are saying, because some of these rules and laws are not even supposed to be only for the benefit of Muslims, they're meant to be for the benefit of mankind. But not to delve so much into the religious aspect, a comment here coming from Esther Mulusa. She says, as someone who has been under the knife dozens of times, I've been asked to make a will before each surgery. This is a traditional practice, because waking up in the land of the living is not guaranteed, even in the US, where medical treatment is sterling. I have been forced to pen that will several times, although
It's a taboo concept.
Although it's a taboo concept, death is inevitable. No one will escape it, but we don't have to preempt it.
We don't like.
But we don't. Oh yeah, we don't like to preempt it.
Right.
So for us,
that is the notion.
we are required.
Preempting.
If you have any kind of wealth, however little it is, however young you are you encouraged to write a will? There's, however, a process for someone who did not have a written will. There's a process, that goes. And in your written will, you're not free to just write anything you want. You can only will up to 1/3 of your wealth. That's another very different aspect that we have. You're only allowed to will up to 1/3 of your wealth. The rest of it goes to designated people, if you have children, if you have a wife, if you have parents who are still alive, there's designated people who get designated percentages of the wealth that you live in, and you can only will up to 30%. So in case you have an adopted child Islamically is not part of your or the automatic heirs. So you have to take care of that.
You have to, yeah.
Yes, so if ulicheza away match, a child out of wedlock, I remember there was a lot of controversy with a case in Kenya where, Islamically, we know a child born out of wedlock, and I know it sounds so harsh.
We discussed it. We discussed it here.
We discussed it here.
Yeah, because
it sounds so harsh, but
yeah.
but you mentioned it yourself. When someone dies, people pop out of the woodwork.
Yes.
And claim
100%.
to be so and so's child.
Yes.
So generally speaking, if you have a child out of wedlock, you are encouraged to either give them wealth while you're still alive or will them on that portion, on that 30% portion. Yes. So you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to take responsibility while you're still alive, and not just when you go and die. Now, the other big question is, do Kenyans in diaspora underestimate how complicated death becomes when your life is split between America and Kenya? And then, should a Kenyan diasporan automatically be buried in Kenya? I don't know who wants to take that first. So Kenyans in diaspora do Kenyans in diaspora underestimate how complicated death becomes when your life is split between US and Kenya? And then should a Kenyan in the diaspora automatically be buried in Kenya? Should that be the default setting? Mika,
No.
maybe let me start with you.
Yes.
No.
Okay, go ahead, Mika.
No. Let's say, for example, right? I don't want to use somebody who's alive, but you have kids here.
Yeah.
Your kid's life is in America.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you taking your body to Kenya? Watakwenda kwa grave yako once in a year. They'll forget about you. Utaenda grave yako iende kwa ushago. If you have kids here and your family is here, you're buried here, where your kids can be going to your grave every now and then as much as they can.
But is that what
accessible to
happens,
you.
Mika? Is that what happens?
No. Some people do that, some people prefer to go back home. Wale watu walikuja kitambo, Moshi na wenzao, wengi prefer kurudishwa home kwa sababu ya mila na vitu zenye waliacha home wamezoea.
Mimi
But then you
mwisike
find-
next to my father. Wacheni story mob.
Unaona, like kuna hiyo nini, but then you find those who came recently who understand it's hiyo sitakuwa nenda ushago vile nafaa kwenda, like the reality of it will say okay, wacha tuzike huku. Like imagine you have a wife and you have let's say 3 kids and then we take you to Busia. Maybe the next time wataweza get time ya kwenda home ni 2 years 3 years. Wakam huko Busia unafikiri kuna mtu anashughulikia grave yako vile wangeshughulikia? Man, your grave will be an abandoned grave. Utasaulika.
So my question is then, why is it, I mean, and of course that's
It's
because
just tradition. Tumezoea kwenda kuzika nyumbani. That's the thing. And this is why I brought in that culture aspect. Nikisema, I think sisi issues zetu na death mingi ni more cultural than anything else. Even the taboo of speaking about death is more about culture yetu, mila zetu, tuongee juu ya kifo, ukiongea kwa gizo usiku nje sijui unaita mashiti. Like tuna uoga mingi. We used to revere death. We feared death. We feared black magic, like anything dark, anything. Tulikuwa tunaiogopa na intensity ingine to a point whereby it's just been ingrown and born into us that we don't speak about it. We don't plan about it because you're preempting it. We don't want to discuss about it when things happen because alafu tuna hiyo belief ya mtu akizika huko nje ati spirit yake itawanda kwa dunia, lazima arudishwe kwao. It's only our tradition. Ni sisi wenyewe tu. It's our fear sisi wenyewe. So once we get over that and we come to understand that the life and death are 2 different things. You also want grieve, and then we understand things like grieving, right? Because these are terms like kitambo kwa tuna understand grieve, kwa tuna understand kuzika mtu na kuendelea na maisha. But then you understand grieving is a continuous thing. Nyinyi mkishaanza kuzika mkienda, hii family ubaki hapa for 1 year, 2 years wanaumia bado. Wanataka kukopna mtu mwenye ameenda vile yuko hapo, alafu umempeleka Kenya. Hata hawezi mtu unajua leo kuna tukanga job kuna stress tunataka kwenda kwa kaburi ya madhe hata uongee naye kidogo. Hawezi yuko Kenya.
Now
unaelongate grief ya watu wengine pia.
Yeah. Uno Mike wants to add something.
No, I was going to say, I guess that's a Christian view of how people will miss you, like if they can't see your body and everything because they want you to be buried here. But then I look at, let's say, like you told us, if you're in Spain and you happen to
die there.
So then what happens? Because I mean, what is the notion that we won't be able to see or be able to visit the burial site?
So like even people who die, for example, in Hajj, like sometimes people
in Mecca,
die in Hajj in Mecca.
Uko.
They're buried right there.
In fact, probably that's what they would love.
So we are actually in Islam. We also, encouraged to visit graveyards. Like there's a lot of verses in the Quran about visiting graveyards.
Okay.
Hatta zurtumul makabir. There's a lot of but generally speaking, that we are encouraged to visit graveyards. Like as a reminder You know, like this is where you're going, and this is, you know, like indo makao yako. You know, like you're gonna be here for a very long time before, you know, like the day of reckoning.
Right.
So we are also encouraged to go visit you know, like grave sites. But then, you know, typically when someone dies, you know, like it said the only 3 things that are left, you know, like amali yake yote imekatika, you know, so the only thing that's left is they have something that's called sadaqatul jariyah. That's enduring charity. For example, like if you dug a well and people of our lifetime keep drinking water from that well, so you still get that, still adds to your good deeds, to your, even after you die. Education, if you taught someone to do something, you know, like whatever it is, it was a skill, or you taught someone to read the Quran and they taught someone else, so it compounds. And then, you know, like a child who makes prayer for parents too. Those are the only 3 things that are left. However, you know, like as far as the physical body is concerned, yes, we're encouraged to go visit grave sites, but we do not have an attachment of this body must be buried here
in
South,
there. In South B.
In the US, there's a very controversial thing that grave sites, and this used to happen because I think we never used to have Muslim graveyards. We never used to have Muslim cemeteries in the US, but now it's there. So there used to be this thing of people buying plots where they're gonna be buried to make sure they're buried in a certain way. So that was very difficult for us to understand, because when you buy a grave site, it's kind of like saying, I know that I'm gonna die here, and none of us knows, you know, like where they're gonna die. Correct. So that's another aspect. So we are not necessarily attached. And emotionally, if I have parents who are living in Kenya, they know if I die here, I will be buried here. And if I'm living here and my parent is in Kenya and my parent dies here, we've already mentally reconciled. If I cannot make it to Kenya within a certain time period, I will be visiting, you know, like a gravesite after they've already been buried. It's something that mentally we're already prepared for, you know, so there's no lazima ali, you know, like angojewe, there's no such thing.
And you may miss it, basically.
Yes.
Also,
okay. Yes,
also
remember my
culture,
grandmother,
yes,
there are relatives who are coming from Seattle who missed it.
Correct, you're right, actually,
Yeah,
But
Mika.
in African culture, see, they used to bury a symbolic if the body was not available, right? Like they will bury a banana stamp. Ama alafu pia wanaenda like, let's say ulipata accident mali gari ilianguka kwa
or
bridge.
you drowned or something. Or
They will just do like a ceremony hapo, haraka wanachinja kakuku kanachomo hapo, and they go and hold prayers hapo na unaenda unazika. So the thing of burying the body back home is not that something that's set on stone. Ni tabia tu kitu tumezoea. Ni kitu tumezoea kufanya.
We are creatures of
I
habits.
think for me, I could be wrong, but I think there's a religious aspect in the burying, that, because consider, like I was saying, you know, for us, unatupa tu mwili kwa msitu.
Correct. Yes.
And that was that.
So Ira was actually challenging that.
True.
No, but I'm not challenging. I'm just saying
Ira was saying, Ebu, please fafanua that one for Kikuyus. Surely it can't be the way you said that the body is just thrown. So Ira, and I don't know.
Again, and it's something that has for me that I want that I want to. Okay, not necessarily just thrown, but it's taken. It's taken. It's taken.
Yes.
It's taken. It's not that it's just thrown. Inapelekwa huko
na wanyama.
Hyenas and stuff. It's not that. It's not that it's just thrown.
And a lot of Ninis did that because remember back in the days, the village ilikuwa tiny compounds held together. Watu na homesteads kubwa. Watu walikuwa na kapa moja because of security na sustainability. Alafu mashamba hapo kando.
It is not physically throwing away the body. No, it's not. It's taking the body out there.
Yeah.
It's not ati sijui ati unachukua alafu you toss it But I need, and I'm gonna go and find out before, back in the day, before now Christianity became
Mainstay. Yeah.
What was the procedure? But that's what I've heard.
And I get Uno, because the thing is, I get the barring with the cross and everything. Imekuja na dini. Imekam na dini, whichever religion that came in. Both religions bury, and both religions are deep into the country, right? So the barring to the ground ilikuja na dini. So before that, they had their own ways.
Yeah,
that's
what I want to know.
Yes,
I think different cultures did it in different ways.
Yes,
different ways.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing that came with Christianity: coffins.
Coffins inakuweka msalaba.
Yes. So hizo hapo, like and I think it's important to try and not only document, but also to try to practice some of our African cultures, because here's part of the problem. Here's part of the problem with all this when it comes to culture. We tend to emphasize culture in Kenya, and this is just a lot of communities. There's a tendency to emphasize culture in death, in maybe marriage, and to a certain extent
circumcision,
like hiyo issue kama circumcision, and then kuna sometimes like
death, though.
Kitu kama mziki. No, but that's where culture is mentioned. That's where culture comes up. Like when someone dies, like this and this and this is what's supposed to happen.
Mila yetu lazima tufanye hivi, lazima tuzike hivi, tuzike style gani.
I think part of the problem is when there is no practice of that culture day to day, like how do young people relate, as in the day to day things.
Yes.
So it becomes difficult to reconcile things when unaambiwa kwa harusi unaambiwa lazima ufanye hivi, ama unaambiwa like kwa kifo this is how things are done. When the day to day is done, then it becomes easier to reconcile.
Right.
When you're told to do something unusual, it becomes normal. But I think the problem is that there's certain aspects that have been picked by different cultures and have only emphasized on those few aspects. Na hiyo ndo I think ndio part of the problem of reconciling all this.
It's like how sometimes
Wacha nikwambie shida ya Kenya. Shida ya Kenya, I think we're pussyfooting this conversation. That is the same shida that is here in Morka. Hizi evangelical churches. Hizi kanisa fani ndo zinakam, unapata zina, like the way the religion was impacted on us. Religion was impacted in a colonial way or a slavery way. It was impacted in a controlling way, and unfortunately that's how we adapted it to a point whereby we take religion to constraints to in a vitu fulani, like mpaka vitu zenye si wenyewe tunafanya tunaanza kuangalia inaendanaje na Kenya. Tunaambiwa hatujapoa religion inaitwangaje religion inakuja kufanya ukiona Mungu na kwa redemption way. Yes, we don't see religion in that way. Like si tuko na tume religion ya kusafa. Hiyo religion mzuri, unafaa kusafa uende upate mazuri mbinguni. Hiyo mzuri tumefundishwa dini, like unafaa kuishi hivyo. So we pick and choose because of trying to serve this colonial mentality type of religion. That's why tunaona Israel, tunafikiria Israel ni kuzuri. Juu tumefundishwa hivyo. Tunajua huko ni holy land. Kulimbelezia, like it's so divisive to a point whereby things that we would normally do as our culture, we frown at them first because of what has been drilled into our brains, and then we say, oh, okay, like unaangalia, right? Ukiambia mtu akunywa damu ya ng'ombe ile wa Masai udunga, ataangalia hii unakunywa damu, like
gross.
Why? Ni kwa sababu kwa hii Biblia imekwambia kule vitu bichi, Lakini bado unasosi sushi. So
okay, yeah.
I
think
we need to put him on silence.
Mika has a point.
Yes.
In the sense that and to me, this is we are in, when it comes to Christianity, this is like maybe the third generation, because we have people who saw their great grandparents who had not converted to Christianity. So I think
mimi niliona grandparents, nimeona watu wenye walikuwa naishi bila story ya church. So
Yes.
ati watu wa great grandparents, Ali, we're not far off from some of us. Our parents suffered colonialism.
yes.
Hata Umoja alipitia colonialism kidogo. Before,
Yeah.
Hey,
So-
my dad might have been a colonialist. Ake Mungu. Hey.
So that's true. On the contrary, most Muslim cultures in Kenya, or most cultures practicing Islam in Kenya, they do not even know a great-great-grandfather who was not a Muslim. It's been practiced, for a very long time. In coastal Kenya, the oldest mosque is 9th century. So we're talking about 1100 years. So it's kind of a different experience, and we also come from an experience where we are not discouraged from practicing our cultures. And that's the reason why when you look at Somalis, yes, they are Muslims, but there's certain aspects that you'll see that are very Somali, that they're very Somali culture.
kama kutai wasichana.
So if you go to if you go to coastal cultures pia utakuta there's certain very unique things that they have about them that are cultural and not necessarily religious. We have a caller. Number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Again, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Is the caller still there?
The caller is here. I'm going to say 9349. Let me make sure I have that. I think I have the wrong number. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Caller, just stay put.
Just stay put.
Yeah, just stay put. I'm going to read a few comments as we're trying to get that call together. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Quite a number of comments here were coming in while we're having our conversations. Ateno Jimbo was asking, what is the U.S. law regarding burial of non-citizens? Don't they require employers or schools to ensure repatriation of non-citizens, or am I mistaken? That I am not familiar with. I do not know.
America huchoma watu.
Hiyo mi naisikia saizi. Atieno, maybe just elaborate a bit on that.
Let's see if we can get that. Okay, you want to finish?
Yeah, and then Esther Mulusa nasema people are afraid of the hereafter. Hell scares everyone. Yes. Hiyo hapo si uongo. Hapo
But the question is,
The unknown.
is hell...
What's the question?
Who has been to hell and back?
No, but how do you... But,
I don't know about hell.
no, but ukisema who's been to hell and back,
But hell scares everyone.
But
Okay, Sawa, I'll just go with that. I'll just go with that. Sawa, I'll just go with that. Yeah, Sawa.
You're gonna get in trouble. You're an elder.
Again, who has been to hell and back?
Who ndio mwenye malakum out?
You're an elder. You're gonna get in trouble.
Sawa.
Yeah. But you have
imagine unaungua kila siku unaungua.
hiyo hapo inaitwa ilmul ghaib, hidden
Mimi
knowledge.
siwezi kudanganya. Mimi naogopa.
Ateke.
Mimi naogopa
Elmu
hell
right.
mbaya.
Ate who?
Inaitwa alimul ghaib. That's hidden knowledge.
Ali. Unasikia? Within that name is Ali.
No, he added Ali.
No,
Ali,
no, hapana, si ali, ni ilm. Unaona the word elimu in Swa
Is ilm.
is knowledge. It came from Arabic.
Oh,
Yeah.
ilm
So that's-
ghaib.
Yeah, so that's hidden knowledge.
Ilm ghaib.
So think about it. Think about it this way. When you drive a car every day, are you an engineer? Do you know like the parts that connect together for that car to be able to move? But you trust someone did their job, and you just jump in a car and you drive it. You don't have knowledge of what's happening in there. So now that's hidden knowledge that's available amongst men.
Well,
You trust
But
that.
that's why you have insurance.
Eh?
In case
Well,
so that's why you have insurance.
My guy, elder.
Elder.
Mika.
Unajua pali hell ilitoka.
Wait, hold on. We have a caller.
Hell ilitoka after vita moja big sana.
Vita ile biblical ile ya wase wale Lucifer na Archangel Michael. Okay, sawa.
Michael.
You guys, okay,
Boss,
wait, what
deconstruction. Sorry.
Well, let's go to the caller.
These ones can't be
These
guys
scholars.
can't
They
be-
can't be scholars.
Thank you for calling the OneMic Show. Aya, 254. Are you there?
Oh, that's a 254 number.
Yes.
Hello, yes.
All right.
Hello.
Welcome to the OneMic Show.
All right, caller, tell us your name, where you're calling from, and talk to us.
Kakamega.
No.
Hi, everyone. This is Esther Mulusa, the infamous Esther Mulusa, calling from Chimalavandu, Kakamega.
All right, good Esther, talk to
I
us.
just wanted to talk about, yes. I just wanted to talk about the cultural aspect according to the Luyas.
Mm-hmm.
When you die, it doesn't matter where you die. If you die in the diaspora, if you die in Shimalavandu, people react the same way. The minute death has been confirmed, there is a cry. Somebody screams. It's a very loud scream. Where you are born, somebody goes and announces your death.
Yes, someone
With a
has to
scream.
announce it. Yeah, take it there. Yes.
So in Vihiga, there will be a scream. In Shimalavandu, there will be a scream. Even if you're in the United States, and people start gathering, And in our culture, according to Luyas, death is the most important rite of passage. That's the most important. For the Muslims, I think it's weddings, but for Luyas, it is death. That is the most important rite of passage for us. So you have no control over what will happen. Sometimes even your will and wishes will be overlooked, and tradition takes over. So people start congregating, maybe where you're married, where you were born, wherever, whatever homes you have, people start meeting. And there'll be different committees. So even if you're in the diaspora, and people in the diaspora nowadays, like the grandchildren will be born in America, and it would be nice for your grandchildren to visit your grave. But sometimes culture supersedes all that. When you die, you are now communal property. It's now a public event. It's not a private event. So, whatever wishes you may have, like cremation, sometimes people don't respect it.
Correct.
So, for example, the Indians cremate their bodies, and what they have is just a photograph of the deceased. They have a little altar, and that's what they use to remember that person. Because once you cremate somebody, it's just ash. There's no grave, So, but Luyas find that to be like a taboo. It's like you wronged somebody. So it doesn't matter what you say. The community will take over and sometimes do things the way they want to. And like somebody said on the panel, sometimes they might bury a banana. If you don't make it from the diaspora, they will do a symbolic burial, like maybe bury a banana stem so that you at least have a symbolic grave. So, but I remember how nostalgic death is. Like, for example, I remember my grandmother fondly saying, she kept on telling us, when I die, I want you to bury me next to my old man, next to my grandfather. All her life, she would talk really badly about him, he was a drunk and all that good stuff. But when it came to death, she fondly talked about him. Bury me next to my old man, So we have those strong cultural aspects that take over, So it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter what your wish is, you become public property. Like if somebody dies, the first thing they do is a scream that is let out, and immediately your church your house becomes open. Whether you're in the diaspora or wherever you are, but your house is open. Everybody can walk into your entire house. Your house becomes like a church, So these are things that happen whether you're in Kakamega or whether you're in North Carolina, it's not up to you. Once you die, other people take over. So somebody might have to be very forthright and very serious about it, and but again, like you said, it is a taboo. You don't start talking about your burial arrangements when you're alive, because it's like the tongue has the power of life and death, and it's like you're preempting or you are inviting. So there are all these stringent measures that kind of stop people from making arrangements, because you don't want to
jinx.
You don't want to
jinx yourself.
You don't want to bring bad luck. Yeah, jinx. Yeah, you don't want to jinx yourself. So it's amazing, but that's all I wanted to say, that death is inevitable. Like I said, every time I go for surgery, they make me sign a will because they just want to be careful because anything can happen. In fact, when you go for surgery, they don't even give you a room. They wait until you wake up from anesthesia. 2026,
Ndio
until you
wanaanza
wake up from
kupanga room.
anesthesia, they ask somebody to hold your clothes until you wake up from anesthesia, and then they assign you a room.
You know
So
that
they never know.
she's
It's
right.
never 100% sure that you're going to wake
remember
up.
that, yeah.
So for me, I'm kind of so used to it. I'm like, well, I just go into surgery and I kind of know I'll wake up, but that's not how doctors read. So I've faced my immortality several times. And, well, like me personally, I would prefer a cremation. I don't think I'd prefer any fuss. Like I said, we are all going to die. I know I'm going to age. The doctors tell me I'll be an old woman. But when that time comes, I would rather have a cremation. I don't want any fuss. I don't want my house open to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. I think it's not necessary because sometimes people in life, they really don't care about you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you die is when they want to show up. Some of them are really coming to celebrate and coming to confirm, it's not gone. Or they've neglected you and they don't care whether you're eating or whether you're starving. Or even maybe hunger is what killed you, but they want to show up. Yeah, they want to show up and celebrate and, So I just think, and anyway, nowadays, COVID also changed people's mindset. And people are being buried sooner than they used to.
Yes, correct.
Nowadays, it's like you go to the mortuary, out of the mortuary, into the hole, So COVID changed people's way of thinking. And everybody doesn't have to show up. So I think it's very expensive. And I think people should have death insurance so that things move smoothly. Instead of having these endless harambe, some people stay in the mortuary forever, waiting for harambe. So that is something that should be made. Either the state in Kenya should kind of help, but it should be a swift process because in Luya land, people have to eat, people have to feast. There are things that must be done, and it's sometimes so expensive. A cow has to be slaughtered, and you find poor families actually selling land because they want to make the burial, worthwhile. So what I'm saying for Luyas, whether you die in the diaspora or whether you die, people still do the same things, do the same rituals at home, do the mourning at home, and they kind of expect the body to come home. But it is an expensive affair unless you have death and burial insurance. So that's all I wanted to say.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you
so much,
Esther from Shimalawandu.
Asante sana, Esther. Now, so with what Esther has said,
yes, she talked about cremation.
She talked about cremation. Now, your cremation, me, I've never understood it. It's, and I know there's a lot of people who have those.
Are you
wishes.
saying the non-Hindus who do it, or just in general?
Okay, for the Hindus, we understand that's their tradition. That's their tradition. But I was talking about this idea of nilazima mwili wende nyumbani, and it's a serious burden on the community here in the diaspora, because the cost has been increasing over the years. Now the traditional 20K that people used to raise is no longer enough.
But you see, with what Mika was saying, I'll tell you, sometimes burying here, it depends. There are a lot of
burying here is expensive.
It's expensive. Like there are very many, and I'm speaking from experience. Like there are very many tangibles because a certain burial site.
Is it cheaper to bury home? That's a question.
Yes.
It's still cheaper.
So
let me
get it this way. So kawaida, Easy michango za burials, they usually
Yes.
have targets of $30,000, $40,000.
And I'll tell you why.
So then that's why I'm asking. I'm not asking about.
Let me-
I'm not talking about the cost of putting the body in the ground.
No.
I'm just talking about the process of someone has died here.
Yes.
Yes.
To burying him in Kenya. So people wanachanga $40,000. So do you wanna tell me that the cost of burying someone here in the US is more than $40,000?
Let me break it down. The 40,000. Usually, I'll give you like there's a certain place that so shipping the body to Kenya using
KLM.
no. I'm gonna talk
An
about
airline.
No. I'm gonna talk about a facility that is used primarily in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's between 12 to 15K shipping.
yeah.
Just getting it to
that's-
JKIA.
Shipping, but
Okay.
these guys coordinate because
But that's inclusive of the coffin, blah,
that's
blah, blah, all of
that's
that.
everything. The
everything.
body, the mwili,
Kila
embalming, everything,
Yeah.
and packaging
Makali
and whatnot.
Funeral Home.
And that's the same coffin
And
that the
then-
body will be buried in Kenya.
Of course,
Yes.
of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
See
it's-
later could travel pick it.
no,
Okay.
and
it's
all the way
same
to
one,
Lee Funeral because those guys have an agreement.
They have
over
a
there.
link. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
These additional costs are to one, depending on the family that is flying.
Yeah.
So there's that. Let us support the fambo to fly.
Yeah.
So if it's a guy who has got, if it's somebody who has rested,
So it's a family of 4.
4.
So
Yeah.
one has rested.
So that's 2.
So that's
That's
8.
10K.
8.
Yeah.
8
Yeah.
to 10.
Then on the other side, we want to
Fikisha the body
alleviate
from Nairobi.
to whatever you want to alleviate, plus
Yeah.
provide like what Mika was saying, I think like okay, what anakuja, unapatia kachai, kasoda, whatever. There's also a cost now to even streaming.
So a lot of
So-
the costs
so when you look-
are
when you
born,
look-
are
when you look-
born from here.
Most of the costs are born from here.
So my question is,
Yes.
to successfully bury someone in Kenya, you
Yes.
need like $40,000.
No. When
Okay,
you say
let's call
40,
it even 30. Let's call it 30.
okay, 30. Yes.
Okay, you need $30,000.
I don't
So-
anymore.
So
30 is more bad.
so-
No, I'm just giving that.
But
I think that's a fair price.
me, I'm going by the targets because
Yes.
I remember I'm also added to this group.
Because
So your target,
kumbuka hizi
yeah.
targets.
Yeah.
Kumbuka hizi targets vile umeambiwa, right?
They're
Wow.
not. Yeah.
Vile Meka amekwambia. Kumbuka hii target, kumbuka wase wengi hapa sisi hatuna resources home, right? So mkinipeleka kunizika na sina hao home. Wife na watoi labda mtatafutia place ya kukaa.
Okay, fair enough.
Unaona, like kuna expenses zingine mob zenye zoka zinatokea.
So here's my
Ndogo
question,
ndogo,
Mika.
zinatokea ndogo ndogo okay fine, tuseme tukio 30,000, tuseme ni 30,000, alafu tukuje tupige hesabu ya huku, si ndio?
How much?
Hesabu ya huku,
Yeah.
kitu moja kubai plot ya kuzikwa uko between 15 na 20. Hiyo ni
15,
plot tu.
Yeah.
15 what? 15K?
1,000.
15,000.
It's not
$15,000.
$15.
Yeah.
$15,000
Yes.
kubuy
Yeah.
plot ya kuzika.
Between 15 na 20.
And
yeah,
also
plot
depends
ya
on the
kuzika.
place.
It
depends on the place.
unazika.
Because there's some places where you can get maybe 8K, but they're giving you a package.
So mimi nauliza swali hapa.
Alafu
Wacha
kumbuka-
tusikize swali
Yeah.
yangu msee.
Because swali yangu
kumbuka
yeah.
bado tukikuzika vile uno amesema unapoa package, tukichukua the cheapest package itakuwa nika tumekutupa, tumeenda ukeka tu mahali kwa mchanga, kuna mnajua pale kwa umekwa,
And
lakini
the
tunataka uzikwe pale
package includes the casket.
yeah, tunataka uzikwe
Alafu casket,
vizuri.
there are levels of caskets.
Yeah,
So-
tunataka uzikwe vizuri,
Yeah.
tunataka ukuwe na headstone. Sasa headstone ukuwe pia ni hiyo nini 8 to 10,000 kuitengeneza tu. Hiyo weka hapo juu.
So
Tunataka watu kwa najua hapa ndo palialia zikwa.
okay, let
Tunaweza
me
kuja kwa kama huu hapo na kwa kila kitu. Like basically
simplify this question.
unaona 30,000 ya Kenya. hiyo 30,000 ya Kenya inaenda na kuzika na hizi vitu zote zenye unapata hapa Amerika.
But let me
Plus far
simplify
more.
my question, maybe. Let me simplify my question. Most Americans can't afford, because people die in America every day. And I'll tell you this, most Americans can't afford to pay $25,000-$30,000 to bury someone. So, and
Ukweli.
people get buried. People get buried every day in America. And I think we have, like an expert within the community who owns a funeral home. And I think one day we're going to bring her here to make people understand. Because I think the question I'm asking is a very basic question. You can have, you have options. You can have a lavish funeral. So kuna first class, kuna business class, na kuna economy class.
Yes.
Economy.
Ya mazishi.
Yes.
So you have those options.
Yes.
Na watu
Option.
America wanazikwa kila siku because remember hii mchango mostly it's an African thing, like, and I think even mostly an East
true.
African thing. Americans wa hawana hiyo nini.
No, wanachanganga.
Wanachanga
Americans wanachanga internally within
the family.
Within the
Okay.
family.
You're not
so
gonna
watu
be-
wanatoa credit
you're not
card,
gonna be
mtu
added to a random-
huyu anaweka 5k, huyu anaweka 5k, huyu anaweka 5k, wana nini.
So Mosh, you're not gonna be added to a random Kenyans. This Kenyan thing is so unique.
It is a Harambee mentality.
Even other Africans
It's a
sometimes.
Harambee mentality, yes.
Even other
But
Africans
unajua
sometimes.
nini,
West
Ali?
Africans do it early.
Ngoja Mika. I want you guys to pay attention.
We are here.
To what
Paying
I'm saying.
attention, yes.
So people get buried every day. Kwa hivyo inamaanisha ukitaka unaweza pata mazishi ya 30k na ukitaka unaweza pata mazishi ya 7k. Have I true or
7k
false?
7k sijawahi ona.
7K
Sijawahi ona 7k
Where?
in America. Sijawahi ona
Uda-
7K.
So hujawahi ona ama
Sija-
hakuna?
hakuna.
Because you see,
Hakuna ya
Hakuna
7k.
I'm gonna challenge.
Hakuna ya 7k. Weka hapo kwa group.
comments.
Hakuna
Watu
ya
wa
7k
comments.
in America.
Please
Hakuna.
do some research.
Hakuna.
Let me know because
ushaenda mazishi hiyo 7K. Mi nishaienda mazishi hizo cheap huko Amerika.
your chip ni how much? What's the number?
It's above
Mi
10.
sijui ilikuwa how much,
It's
but
above 10.
Yeah.
nakwambia ilikuwa mazishi
It's
hizo,
above
mazishi
10.
hizo
I can tell you that for free.
ilikuwa mazishi ya like mtu amefosiwa funeral onto them. Tulikuwa na dunia job, yani mpaka hata ana watu akatuambia tu job tuende. Right? That shit is so sad.
So what is
Vile
sad?
mnaharakishwa, man, the way even those people, how they just handle the body and how they're putting it to you, and like
Okay.
ile nika kutupa mtu, like literally hiyo inakuanga ile like inakuanga ile mnatupa msene imeenda imeisha. Ukiangalia watu wengi America, most funeral homes have learned how to tap into life insurance za watu wenye wamekufa kufund funerals.
Yeah.
Ama watu chuka burial insurance.
Yeah. So what I know, and this is based on the cost of burying a Muslim here in the US. And maybe that's the reason why, like I'm talking maybe also from a point of no information. So
Thank you.
So an expensive, because with Islamu there's different factors that come in, because burying someone is referred to as Farad Kifaya. Farad Kifaya is an obligatory act that is an obligation on the community. Not, you see, like your daily prayer, it's individual obligation. But burial, it's an obligation on the community, meaning if there's someone in the community who has died,
Lazima azikwe.
and ajazikwa, so the whole community
Chips in and
is
makes
liable.
sure. Okay.
Is liable for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you genuinely cannot afford,
Yeah.
you will either pay a very small amount, or you will be someone will foot that bill. There's something called a janaza fund, and in fact, one of the things that they're trying to work on is to have like land and endowments to allow when a Muslim dies, they're just buried without having to pay anything. So different communities are working on that. But right now, as a discussion was being discussed in the mosque recently they were saying it could cost up to 6,000 kuzika Muislamu, and they were saying that's very expensive. That's a very expensive.
Consider this. No, I'm saying
Yeah,
because
tuna
listen, Ali.
Yeah.
I want you to non-Muslims, let's say
Yeah.
Christians. Forget the Hindus and whatever
Yeah.
else. Christians here. First, Geneza. And there are variations. Just
But
like
the
you've got economy,
Yeah.
business class, kuna first class, kuna whatever, kuna career.
Let me
They're
try
all
to
that.
understand.
Ali, by the way,
Geneza-
acha nikwambie,
Yeah.
Casket.
by the way,
Yeah.
Casket.
huku kwanza zao zuko expert kushinda zetu.
Yes.
So let me try to
Zao
understand.
very expert.
But let me try to understand something, Mika.
Eh.
Let's say your casket,
Yes.
economic class. What's wrong with it?
There's nothing
I'm trying
wrong.
to understand.
No.
Hakuna shida
There's nothing
nayo.
wrong.
Lakini
There's
unajua
nothing
nini?
wrong. It's the options that you're being given.
Umeona kitu Esther amekwambia? Esther
Yeah.
amesema nini? Esther amekwambia, wale ule kusema like death inakuanga na considered like your most important passage, right? If you've ever noticed, everybody tries to give the departed the best sending off. Hautaisikia watu wanaongea mbaya juu ya marehemu. Watajaribu kumzika with the best ceremony they can ever do it.
Yeah.
And there's always celebration of his life or her life afterwards, right? Because people at that point wanganikuwa na kwamba this is their last hurrah ya kukutuma uende mbinguni. Hii yao ndio inakwambia mwisho kukupatia ile gas. Kama like itajaribu uende up pale pazuri. So it's, I don't know if it's a Christian thing ama ni vitu tumezoea manini. We try to send off our loved one with the best.
We do.
Utapata huyu jamaa kukuwa na pesa ya kwenda hospitali.
The bigger the
lakini kuna
better.
pesa ya kumzika.
Yeah.
So let me try to understand. What's a reasonable funeral here in the US? A reasonable one. How much is it gonna cost? A reasonable one. Let me not call it. Let's not call it economy.
Reasonable.
And let's not go first class.
I would probably venture to say anywhere between 18 to 20,000.
Yes.
God damn.
Yes.
That is.
And
Because
that's-
remember,
that's reasonable.
There's the casket, and there is the plot where you're being buried.
two different
That one
animals.
can cost
Nago
from
ka-
anything
nago
from
ka kanisa.
5,000 to 12,000.
Wow.
Depending on the place and the location.
Unajua pia kwa kanisa.
Yeah, you
And we're
also-
talking about
you also pay for the services.
like
of-
I'm talking about.
So your service pia unalipia.
yeah,
Yes.
you pay. Yeah.
So it's a
Hiyo,
charge.
funeral kama imekuorganizia ka service
Yes.
mahali utalipia.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, that is separate from where you're being buried.
Yeah.
Hiyo ni cost kando.
Yes.
Yeah,
Where you're
yeah.
being buried
Alafu
is a
bado
totally
una-
different
unalipia-
cost.
Unalipia kale ka limousine kana kuzungushanga hapo raundi yako ya mwisho.
It
Bebo
is-
na limo maisha yako yote lakini ukideni
So,
unabebwa na limo.
Okay.
It's a totally
This
different
is-
cost.
Yeah.
So
It's a
before
business,
before
Ali.
before
It's
before
a
you start
business.
before you start
It's-
throwing
it's-
scards,
Bado ni
It's
a
a
business.
before you
No,
start throwing
I'm
scards,
learning. I'm learning.
before
I'm
you
not,
start throwing scards,
No, I'm not throwing scards. I'm learning.
yes,
You know,
before
I'm
you start
learning.
throwing mishales,
No,
so
because
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
so it is different. So where you're being buried is totally different from
yeah.
where
You know what?
the funeral home and where
Yeah.
your service is being held. Because
Hold
remember,
up.
you could have yeah.
Uno, I've remembered something. Ali, let me jog your memory. We had this conversation. Same conversation. You were on our side of the aisle. It was either back in 2013, 14, 15.
Yeah.
And you actually did research and broke down how funeral home attendants are trained
Yes.
to ask interviews.
Yes.
about-
Yes. I remember that.
And you yourself, you actually broke down how expensive a funeral is and how they sell you up. And they ask you, and the first question they ask you, how much is your
Budget.
is your life insurance? No,
Or
how much
life
is the
insurance.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they start selling you budgets based on that life insurance.
Yes. Yes. And I remember there was this.
So now,
Yeah.
so now you understand when you tell you this is a business and how it is, how it becomes expensive with you. So even the packages that they offer, the ones that economy package is not
Yeah.
a cheap. Like it's not worth.
and then it's not like it really exists so that you
It
go
really
for it.
exists for it.
Ni kama ile wanakuonyesha iko lakini hata watakwambia boss
yes, I can tell you for free. There are budgets. There are okay. If you want this package, this comes with this. The casket is this much, is whatever. It's this color, it's this size. No, it's this CG make, CG whatever. Boss, there are caskets that are even worth $100,000.
So
It is in a gold.
So if I
There are caskets worth $100,000.
Ile pale palbearers wanashika nikikam na budget mama titanium, alafu ukiangalia casket yenyewe ni ivory, imekuwa ivory huko juu, ina gold trimmings ndani, ni velvet.
Yes,
so nikikam na budget ya 3k nikikam na budget ya 3k nitafukuzwa
boss.
Hiyo ni suti.
Kufukuzwa
hiyo ni suti.
Hiyo ujui
3k ni suti.
No, what if nikisema naweza kubai suti yangu KNG?
Ni sawa. No. Kuja nayo, ni sawa, unaweza kuja nayo.
Ya 99.99.
No, ni sawa, unaweza kuja nayo, no problem.
Mbona mnadanganya mzee? Mbona mnadanganya mzee? 3k tutakuchoma. 3k tena tukuchome kwa ile base ya kukuchoma, tutakuchoma na wanichuani.
And by the way,
kule hiyo ndio imebaki.
you're coming with 3k yet a Muslim burial is 6k.
No, a Muslim burial is
an expensive
6k
one.
because
an expensive one.
Yes.
part of that fund goes to something called the Janaza Fund. So the
so you're
Janaza Fund
supplementing.
is supplementing others who cannot afford, because kuna ule mwenye atazikwa bila kulipa anything.
Now let me tell you, that is why something like cremation, that's why like in the Christian world, funerals, and you follow scripture, you know, you if you follow the motaratara, not forget scripture, like, but what practicing Christians do. I want to say the Pentecostal, evangelical, those guys. I'm not gonna say Catholic, but these are the guys over here on this other side. Uko, it is business in, business out. Pesa in, pesa out.
What do you mean by
money?
It's
money,
out?
like, because you're being sold stuff, because you want to give you want to give your loved one the best send off. So they have packages, and they will always have packages, and the packages are in terms of suit, in terms of the career, the casket, and whatever. Unabebwa na limo and everything. This is aside from
unabebwa na farasi,
ukitaka
chariot.
And this is not where you're being buried.
Wow.
Where you're being buried is a different cost. We are talking about depending even on the location. So if you're depending, if you're in Germantown vis-a-vis Colombia, different price. And even in Colombia, some of the places themselves are going to have different prices.
What about these churches that I've seen that have grave? And you can see
those
like,
are the full. Those guys are, go look at those things. I think they stopped burying in 1970.
So unajua kitambo, what it was is, you know what most people don't realize is that American is just villages. Like it was villages. They make a cul-de-sac, a few houses, alafu kulikuwa na kachurch na hiyo burial. So ilikuwa watu wa hiyo neighborhood
wanazikwa.
Hiyo ndo nini yao. Alafu ikajaa. Like ilijaa na generation ya kwanza wakazijaza. So zimebaki hivyo, like they are historical. Hawezi bomoa fanya zimebaki hivyo. So but another thing that you have to realize, Ali, is Google a funeral home and then Google how far you find a crematorium from it. Haikuangi mbali. Ile inakwanga ya wale watu wameenda ka funeral home wako na packages wakashindwa bei.
Wanaenda crematorium.
Ukigoogle cheapest funeral home itakuletea crematorium yenye kwamba karibu at least upate bei. And do you know crematorium is a very good business? Because watu
The
wengi
business-
sana
the business
hawawezi
of death.
afford.
Yes, so it's a business
Yeah.
of that. So that's what I was saying. It is even on a minimum. You can find that when you're looking at even burying here, you are trying. Listen, you're trying to cut costs. You know, like how sometimes ulikuwa unatupatia we are going for rugby in Vegas. Alafu unajaribu kutupatia costs,
Economy.
cutting costs
Yeah.
and everything.
Cost-casting measures.
They are the same even in that world. In
Okay.
that world.
Okay.
So and depending on how your pocket is.
Yeah.
So like when we talk about, so like you can find that 30,000 when you're having a mchango for 30,000 or somebody they're asking for 30,000. That takes care of the body being shipped,
Yeah.
the body being received, the body being interned.
Yeah.
It takes care of the cost of the family being flown,
Yes.
right? Going, because they're going to get return tickets, going, burying the loved one, taking care of the costs at home,
Yeah.
and then flying back.
Miscellaneous. Kwanza hizo
Miscellaneous, they cover a lot.
Yeah.
You're
You're that 30,000.
Yeah.
Your 30,000 here is probably not going to do what it's going to do.
So
Kenya.
your 30K goes along. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Imagine Ali, umekaa hivi unakuja unaambiwa unajua kuna ile ng'ombe sijui yenye juu paro wako alidai, kuna ile ng'ombe ilikuwa inafaa kutolewa na budako sijui nini haijabaiwa bado.
So Ali, there's a guy.
Yaani wazee wamekuja, hiyo mtoka kwa wazee imekuja hivyo umekaa hivi na unajua sio unamwona. Mtu anakuja anakuambia hivi. Hapo ndo palio 30K usaidia vitu kama hizo. Unaona? So mimi as your buffer, mimi niko kwa committee nikisikia kitu kama hiyo haraka haraka, haya hiyo ng'ombe ni ya umma chacha, leta ng'ombe. Right? Na try kukutoa kwa hiyo hizo makesi masiasa, like I try to buffer you as much as possible. Wewe grieve, uzike na tuendelee na maisha.
Okay.
So-
Uliza huo jamaa apige simu.
Yeah, so the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Now, Appa, there was a comment that Warimu made a while back, very important, which we've not considered in the States. If you allow your affairs to be decided by a judge at probate, 8 to 20% of your estate goes towards settling that court process. Do your wills or trusts to prevent that hefty loss. So two things we want to do for future episodes. Wills and trusts, because watu wengi, like they just don't understand them. And I think also within the community, we have someone who owns the business of burial here in the US. Because I think now people usually get shocked. And when umefiwa and then you're being confronted, unaambiwa atichukua economy and then chukua first class. Sasa unaanza kuogopa.
So I'll say,
unaona ukichukua economy and maybe that's what you can afford. Unaona kama mtakuwa disrespect. So I think people also need to be prepared. If they're gonna bury here, there needs to be some mental preparation of what package are we gonna do, so that you're not overcome by that emotion, because umefiliwa na mtu and then now a skilled funeral home salesperson is coming and showing you like caskets with platinum and gold.
There. That
yeah.
business
Because
will always be
they're
there.
also
But
raised.
I'll tell you, there's one particular one, no names, but this is our go-to, like in Baltimore
Yeah.
and surrounding area. But I'd say Balti, like this one to Mezoya,
It's
because
a go-to funeral home.
yeah, because you're talking about shipping the body for between 12 and 15K
Or to Kenya.
to Kenya.
Okay. That's shipping it to Kenya.
Shipping, so that is preparing the body and doing everything and whatnot. And they also facilitate because they have a good relationship with the embassy.
Funeral home. Or
With
embassy.
the embassy.
Okay.
And huko Kenya. So whoever they work with, they'll be like, peleka hapa, mapeleka hapa. So that
So
connection,
they have a sweet deal.
it is 12 to 15K
Yeah.
to ship a body.
And that's usually the best deal around the area.
Yes. I don't know about other places like Texas.
Yeah.
I don't know about Minnesota. I
I
don't
think
know.
It varies.
So
It varies
it's
between
it's
8
nearly,
to 15. It depends on.
Hapana Mosh.
No.
Me, the last time-
That's it varies, and again maybe that price of 8 pengine sahi imeongezeka kidogo because I've seen it around the DMV area. Again, depends on which funeral home
Yes.
unatumia. Because kuna wale wako na relationship na washajua vile.
Yeah.
But I think also the airlines were cheaper then. So now maybe...
Yeah, but remember also the airlines that do this...
There are few. There are still like 4 or 5.
Yeah,
and they all go through Doha.
KLM na ni KLM na
Qatar.
KLM na Ethiopian was because I think Qatar pia ilianza.
Yeah.
But then I remember KLM was the go-to. And that was the
KQ
cheapest,
doesn't do
especially.
it.
Yeah.
None
No.
of the New York.
Not that we know of.
Because you're talking about, like if you're in Bolti, you're talking about
okay,
BW
okay.
or IAD or whatever.
Yeah, it's cargo,
So,
not that we know of.
that is that.
But
now,
but
yeah,
here's,
sorry, go
here's
ahead.
another
Yeah.
interesting
I know,
comment.
we don't. But again,
There's a-
this umbrella still falls under all that.
Yes, there's an interesting comment coming from Mwananchi One. Mwananchi
Ask
One
him,
anasema, you should do your homework before talking. Having helped with funerals hapa Denver, you can get a casket as cheap as $650 from Walmart.
Is a lie. Let him show us where it is. Hata kwa site ya Walmart, the cheapest casket that they have in Walmart is a Jewish unfinished box nini, and it's 8 sok. I'll let you a 61.
So
And
so
again-
Maybe that is in
so,
Denver.
okay.
No,
So here's the
that
deal.
is in Denver.
That's in Denver.
No, but Walmart is Walmart.
No, Walmart
No,
has
no,
different
no,
prices.
no.
No.
Different
Walmart has
Hold
different
on.
prices in different
Wait
states.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
bro.
Again, me, I just looked in the website. So if you're telling me that Walmart online, Denver, inaonyesha
Lakini pia
different.
Mkenya anafaa kusikia. Tumesema unaweza zika mtu na ndio unataka kuzika mtu.
So again, you also have to remember that the casket that you purchase for burial here versus a casket you purchase to go overseas, that casket has to be a certain nini. It has to be
You have to meet
It has to
certain
be a
standards.
certain
Yeah, it has to
You have
meet
to meet
certain
certain
standards.
There has to be
standards.
certain
in
minimum
order
standards.
Yeah.
to take the body home,
Yeah.
right? So, and again, like I said, this is an unfinished. It's basically wood. Ni mbao hata wewe mwenyewe unaweza chonga. Hiyo ya 8
Hata
8 so.
hiyo tunaweza enda.
You can go.
pine
It's
wood.
fine. It's fine wood. You go.
But let me ask an ignorant question.
Yeah.
What is the problem with that?
There's no problem with it. See, that's
No,
why
there's no
there's no
problem.
problem
Okay,
with it.
sawa. Sasa kama kuna issue na expenses, then why don't people go for this $800?
Again, it's
Kwa
what
sababu
the airline
do-
and everything is gonna.
no, I'm saying if you're burying here. I'm saying if you're burying here.
Kenya.
Yeah.
If you're burying here,
Kama
I don't know.
unazikapa.
Now we don't know.
No, it's simple. It's simple. It's simple.
But if you're dealing with that,
ni ile respect ya mwisho watu wanakupatia. Watu wataki.
There's also that.
And that's why I say,
We attach so much to death. We really
Yes,
do attach.
we
a lot.
do
Unasema-
attach. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I said I went to those $3,000 funerals, right? Na hiyo casket yenyewe jamaa alizikwa nikaa yenye emotion nasema na nakwambia like it's so sad. Ile madhara yenye nakanga like
Hata ungetaka kuchukua rangi upige rangi.
Wait, what is Luis
maybe I
Muya saying
misunderstand.
over here?
I know Luis Muya is saying there are
Yeah.
pretty
You know-
nice caskets at FB Marketplace.
Umse anakaratu. Luis Muya. No. Umse.
Now, and here maybe I'm
Yes.
coming from a very different school of thought.
slightly
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Because him to akifa
Yes.
imbao itaoza
Eh.
as soon as ingeuko
Lakini
italiwa na
si-
mcho
nataka-
But bro.
italiwa na mcho.
That- yeah, of course.
Sinataka
Yeah.
was in class.
Yes.
Sina-
What Mika is saying.
Nataka was in class.
Yes.
Sina sietu. Sina kwa ni final rights.
Put some respect.
Wacha nikwambie kimoja, hatuwezi
Yes.
justify cost ya matanga.
Yes.
Cost ya matanga ni cost ya matanga.
Ati both new
Achana
and
na-
used. Huyo Luis
Eh.
Muya kwenda.
Hatuwezi-
Kuna
Ali-
moja hapa Omosha amepata
Ali-
Walmart
Ali unakumbuka, kuna siku
895.
unakumbuka kuna siku uliniambia
eh,
you cannot put value on nini inaitwaje what do you call it when I say when we were talking about houses nikakwambia talking about owning a house ushago it's
or value on, was it peace of mind?
it wasn't even peace of mind. It was just about like it. How can I say? Anyway, basically, it is in us to accord the deceased a nice farewell, right? tumezaliwa tukiona matanga, unajaribu kupatia mtu matanga kumzika as best as you can.
That's what we've been taught.
Even tunajua
that's
that's
what
the only
we've
thing
been-
we
it has
use.
been
Like,
ingrained.
hatuwezi
But now-
justify
Because-
kuzika mtu vizuri.
because-
Hiyo ndio hivyo ndio tunajua.
Yeah.
But is there a way in which people could
Hatutaki.
Ali, just the same way.
hatutaki?
No, hold on. Just the same way you guys have been taught how, if it happens today, you've got 24 hours, whatever. Now you're adjusting.
Hatutaki kuacha kuzika watu wetu vizuri.
No. Just the way, like,
Yeah.
you guys, like if you're in Kenya, akikufa leo,
Yeah.
you guys, that is what you have learned. That's what you know. What we know is mtu akikufa kuna
We know how to
like
give somebody
whatever,
a good
you whatever.
So is this known from culture?
I wouldn't say culture.
where
When I
is it known
say
from?
culture, no, from when you were toys, like, you know, our Christian culture, like,
Unajua nini, hata si Christianity, ukiangalia hiki tukoone, angalia Wahindi, angalia
we know Hindus trauma.
angalia the
We know
Roman
that.
Empire, angalia nini, like the way funerals have been a celebration of life, like life ya mtu imeisha
So-
imekuwa celebration, like ili kitu tu ali atujui.
So I'll say this.
So no,
So ukiangalia vile tulikuwa wadogo,
So,
you know, the cost of funerals in Kenya and even the mode has escalated over time. So, you know, like there was a time, you know, like we had, for example, like in Nairobi West, we had some Luo neighbors who, you know, like I think ni madhao alidai, and they had that whole thing. But then what used to happen, and this is a fairly short period of time, what used to happen is maybe neighbors would come with food na nini, hata kama ni, let's say for example, kama ni mziki, people would do it on themselves. But over time things have changed. Chakula inaletwa na caterers, which is now even more expensive.
Yeah,
you know,
hiyo ni
like
ukweli.
mziki sasa,
DJ.
you know, like DJs, you know,
Yes.
sound system.
system,
Yes.
you know,
Na
like
sound
My
system
friends-
inakuja na MC.
and then kawaida
Then
maneighbors walikuwa
then-
wanaleta viti na nini, but now
Kuna
mpaka hizo
company
hapo
ya nini?
sasa
Yes.
kuna company
Yes.
zinakuwa rented.
Yes.
So these are things that
It's a
people
business.
Yes,
people
it's a
have
business.
developed.
Exactly,
Over
it's a
time.
business. Yes.
It's a business.
Hata mwindi siku hizi watu washukishangi na kamba. Siku hizi ni lazima mweke kale kitu kwa kushukisha
Yeah,
kale like
what are they called?
Lift.
Kuna hiyo kitu man, there's a name for it.
Yeah.
It's part of the package. Sasa now
Yeah.
it's part of
it's something you have to weka in
ile
your budget.
Montezuma anakuambiaga tutakuja na hiyo tutakuja na
So those are the things that,
this-
yes,
Yeah.
that is what
na
now you're
sasa
dealing
sisi-
with.
sisi kwa ile sasa shida ni I think hapa tunaongea tunataka the wrong thing. I think it inaitwangaje capitalism. Somebody just found a way of commercializing funerals.
Correct.
And
Yes.
they get a new way of how to do it every now and then.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
they tap onto that grief mentality of I have to give my loved one a good
A
send-off.
good send off.
Yeah.
And,
Na
it's the way-
amejua tu
it's-
njia-
and again,
amejua njia ya kuipackage na kufanya use.
and by the way, again, it's how we've been brought up as guys.
Yeah.
Like
But,
your
but
loved
when you
one.
say how we've been brought up, we've
Una-
already
una- unajua nini?
established
Christian.
These things have changed. But just like I said, these things have changed from when we were. Yeah.
Ali,
Yeah.
Ali, let's shift focus. Tuende kwa harusi. Harusi kitambo hazikuwa expensive kama sasa hivi. Sasa ukiangalia packages za harusi pia zimechange, zimekuja. It's just that the
Destination
capitalism of it has
weddings,
caught up with
sijui
us.
what.
But the difference, Mika na Arusi, there are people who are still doing very budget weddings and they are very happy with it.
Yes.
Hata
So-
matanga kuna watu wanafanya budget matanga and they're very happy with it.
Sasa ndo hiyo hapo sasa, if
But
you're
you
in a
see-
position where hauna hiyo uzito wa hiyo pesa, you can't
Tutachoma
afford.
tu.
You can't afford. Why are we doing a
Tutaenda kuzika
30,000?
Lang'ata.
Yeah. But anyway,
Is it-
besides that point, the issue ya Harambe,
Yes.
is it love or is it failure to plan? Because some people say it's a beautiful part of community support, or has it become a substitute for personal responsibility? Because especially, like, it's very unusual. I don't think Kenyans realize it. Even within the African context, it's very unusual how Kenyans do it, where you find yourself in a random group added by a random person. Nowadays, WhatsApp imeka ile feature where you have to accept. But there used to be times when someone could just add you in a group and you're seeing, you know, like stuff going on. You don't even know who has died. And nobody even cares if you're going to show up for the service, for the funeral, where we tow $100 and you move on.
Correct.
So I think
Just for clarity, Louis Muya made me a screenshot here. There's a casket for coffin for $1,000 on a Facebook Marketplace.
What was he doing looking for coffins on Facebook?
I think he, because of our discussion,
akafanya research.
Ameenda kufanya research, and that is my story, and I'm sticking with that. Maybe that is his story, but I don't know.
Ama maybe he resells them.
Ali.
Wacha ajibu
Unajua
hiyo swali.
marketplace huwa unapataga vitu ziko cheaper.
Wacha
And then you can resell.
Wacha, I'm sure he's listening. Comment, Louis
Marketplace hata
Muya.
bibi unaweza nunua.
There we go.
Okay.
What was your question?
Anyway,
Yeah.
what I was saying is this. Oh damn, nimepoteza
Amesahau Mika.
thought yangu.
Mika amesahau.
No.
Yeah.
But
Ali,
but my thing is ikitu this cost has
no.
continued
I've
escalating.
gotten my train of thought.
Okay.
What I was gonna say was this: there needs to be an etiquette in how people ask for help, especially in sensitive situations kama matanga.
Okay.
The idea of just kuna group ya matanga, invite everybody you know in your phone book. It's not nice.
Not good.
It's not good because you're putting somebody in a spot, right? Ile asipotoa ataangaliwa vibaya, akitoa like na labda yuko in a position ama nini ajui nini. There has to be an etiquette on how it's done. But supporting somebody who's going through demise. Mimi ukineka group ya matanga mindatoa. Hiyo sinanga shida. Hata kasi sijui mwenye amekufa. Mindatoa, I'll respect the person mwenye ameni-invite hapo. They felt they needed help. Mindatoa. Mimi sinanga shida na hiyo. Mimi nimesema kuna watu ndachangia matanga. Ndachangia mtu anachanga school fees ya kusoma. Ndachangia mtu anachanga bili ya OC.
Umesahau pre-wedding.
Sichangi pre-wedding. Sichangi pre-wedding. Naweza kubaya wedding gift, lakini sichangi pre-wedding. So, hizo mtatu mimi ndachangia matanga, ndachangia mtu anachangia school fees, ndachangia bili ya OC. Hizo nachangia very quick at a style. Like, yeah. But there needs to be an etiquette when you're adding people to the group. Ask somebody. And sometimes asking mtu atakubali hata kama ajui, atakubali uombe tunamataka na nilikusaidiwa. You'll be surprised how many people say yes, but let you kubobana mtu na ujui vile na mbobana.
Yeah.
Now, kuna like as far as this community, as far as these fundraisers are concerned, there's an aspect of, now like I think life insurance. There's all different kinds of insurance, and I think a lot of people are now sensitized to issues of life insurance and even an insurance to help you in the event of death. But one thing that I feel is sometimes not properly done,
IULs?
and it's very urgent.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's wachana na hiyo hapo. Something that's not done, that's very urgent. There is rarely a plan of, if I die tomorrow, what's happening to my kids, especially if you're
Very
like
true.
a single parent.
Yes.
Because if you're a single parent, you are a single point of failure.
I will not say that is true.
And
but
if you
I
have
don't
and
know.
if you have minor
So
children,
hiyo ni ukweli na Kenya Ali amesema ni ukweli. That
Yes.
is where a lot of kids end up in the system.
yes,
Because ya hiyo
That's a very, and these are the things
that is more important than life insurance.
because true. And I think it's a conversation again.
hiyo na bank.
Yes.
Yeah. Hiyo hapo na I mean at a bank, you know, like there's that issue of like what you need to, you know, like the things that you have, for example, like especially if you're a breadwinner, details bank account, details brokerage account. Does someone have them? Ama unakaa tu nazo umezibania pahali?
Chances are,
Yeah.
in majority of the cases, none has been planned. Because remember, this is a taboo subject. Death, or even planning for just in case. Many people believe it's like unafungua dirisha ya madhogodhanio.
Yeah. But then the thing is, think about it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, bro.
If you're one parent, and a single parent could be a
but
dad or a mom.
it's something that it is again, it is a conversation that you need to have with yourself. And then you prepare yourself.
So here's my question. You're a single parent.
Yes.
And you have minor children.
The things you're supposed to have as a parent, the things you're supposed to have, you're supposed to think about and say that. Can you hear me?
No, we can hear you, brother. No, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
Tunasikiza. No, tunasikiza.
The things as a parent, you have to start considering that as much as you're taking care of these people right now, you also have to take care of them through their future and your future. Number one, in case you are medically incapacitated,
yeah.
Who can make decisions
Yes.
regarding those kids for you and also regarding your health? That is one thing you're supposed to put in there. You're supposed to put yourself in that if something happens to you, who can be able to take these kids? Hata washikilie kidogo.
Yes.
Before your family jipange, wachukue. So that watoi wasiingie kwa system. Number 3, pesa yako. Yes, umesign nao ndo beneficiaries wa nini yako, but hiyo pesa yako before afike of age, who has the power of attorney kuwachungia na kuwashughulikia mpaka wapate ile time watapata hiyo age. There's so many things that we forget to do as parents. We just assume tuko na another day of living to do it, but then when we die and our wealth disappears. Tunacha watoi wetu bila vitu kwa sababu hatukutake few vital steps that could have been done in 15 minutes.
So
and
I think
to support Mika, that should actually be one of the core, or it should be in the same bracket as I'm working this hard, or I'm getting this house, or I want my kids to be able to go to a certain school, right? Because technically, you know, kama uko na watoi, unajaribu kupanga in such a way that wanaweza enda, you know what, maybe you have a certain property or something, you're setting up something where if wakimaliza high school, when they go to college, they don't have to have a loan or whatever. You know, you're planning for that. But in all this planning, there's no plan of, and what Mika is saying is right, is that there's no plan for
right after.
No. What if I die?
And that's what I'm saying.
No, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it is something that should be added in addition to, I'm planning for my toy to go to a certain school, Hopkins or whatever.
Yeah.
But in that
Ugongo na basi uko inakoma for
exactly.
Yeah.
So 4 weeks bills zako zitalipwaje?
Yes. And that is what Mika is saying, that it actually should be that conversation of not forget. In addition to here, there's another one crucial. What if I'm not here? Because if you're a single parent, if let's say I'm a single parent and I'm planning all this, lakini I'm not actually even planning in case I'm not here, then
what happens?
And that is what Mika's critical question is.
And I think Mika's critical point is, I mean, people plan for far away, $1 million life insurance
Like
plan.
see hapa.
But then there's no plan like nimekufa leo. What happens tomorrow to my
Exactly.
minor children?
Exactly.
And I think that's what Mika
That
is
the
saying.
most, that yes.
Some of these things could be as quick as, because Easy V2, it's not even verbal. I saw Atieno Jimbo here saying this is the point of godmothers and godfathers taking care of children left behind in case there are no relatives to step in. Me, I've never understood that concept. But these things have to be in writing. You cannot just show
But it
up.
has to be legally.
It has to be
Exactly.
legal in writing.
For anybody.
Yeah. So you cannot just show up and say, "Oh, I am the godmother. Bring those children. They are coming to my house from tomorrow." This thing has to be done in legal writing. So if you're a parent, and especially if you're a single parent, and not saying, like two household parents should not do planning, but as a single parent, you're a single point of failure.
Yes.
In case something happens, your minor children are now exposed. So there has to be, like Mika said, there has to be someone who has that power of attorney. First of all, who can take immediate custody, like based on an agreement within the laws of whatever state.
And it's a conversation that has been had between the two of you. So if in case anything happens to me, I'm like, Ali, unachukua watoi. Or
not just a conversation.
No. Something in
something
writing.
in writing.
But
like something in writing in line with the laws of the state you live in.
That is very true.
Yeah.
But a conversation first has to be had, and I'm speaking from like.
Yeah,
like, yo,
conversation
Ali,
has to be had.
listen,
This is somebody who you
umekubali. Sawa.
Yeah.
Now, tumekubaliana ama Omosh ama Mika ABCD. Or hey Lawrence, go for these are the other aya now. Tukubaliane
Shikilia
hapa
watoi,
because
mpaka family ikuje,
let us put this in writing such that there is per the law.
Yeah.
There is no doubt.
Yeah, it's airtight.
It's airtight.
Yeah.
Such that no.
Yeah.
Ndio hapa.
So I think that is more critical.
Very critical.
And that is easier to do than some of the more expensive things that people have to do, like getting expensive life insurance. These are easier things to do.
Back in the day, like when I say back in the day, I'm talking about like my grandfather.
Yeah.
There's nothing for written.
Yeah.
What was considered very powerful was word
of mouth.
Yeah, but unajua hizo siku
No. Yeah, but no. That's what I'm saying.
na designated survivor. Ilikuwa inajulikana watu wananiwa
designated
survivor.
You see, like inheritance, all of that, yes.
But you see, like what would happen is like now my grandfather, he would go a place and say, let me say, I do not want anyone fighting over land. And that in itself was a declaration such that I'm going to do this and this and this and this.
But they also made sure before they left that they went with their kids and said, you get this, you get this, you get this. Unless things happen.
No, bro. This is now. We're talking about back then.
I'm saying back then. They did
back
that.
But then
No,
unakumbuka back then vile Omosha amesema alikuwa anatembea na ambia watu hivi na hivi, lakini pia back then kulikuwa na wale wazee wenye alikuwa akiongea nao, right?
Yes.
Ashawaambianga
exactly. Kuna wazee. So I'm talking about I'm talking about my grandfather now.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm talking about my grandfather.
Kuna hiyo word of mouth ilikuwa
there was word of mouth. Alisema hii na hii, but it was stipulated like hapa like he already alikuwa said he had not divided himself, but he had divided himself like he knew, okay, this one will go here, this one will go here, but alikuwa amesema his most powerful word is, and kwanza amongst the wazes and everyone, that word was very powerful. I'm talking about now. Back then it was very powerful, very like. What was Mze's word? He said this. The chief knew. The chief was aware. Then there were trusted persons and whatever. And even those trusted persons, let me tell you, those guys, your word is your bond. They don't care because they believe there are certain things that if they were to happen because you do not fulfill what the wishes of the deceased now were not fulfilled, and something happens with you, you'd have to do something.
Yeah.
You have to rectify it by that
To appease the ancestors.
to appease the ancestor. And usually, boss, believe me or not, I found it interesting. I'm not going to say crazy or weird. I just found it interesting that once the rectification has happened, things have continued
Continue flowing. Yeah.
flowing nicely.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Do not mess.
Yeah, but now you see with the conditions that we are living in today, in very individualistic societies,
Yeah.
utakuta mtu amefiwa, and the problem here in the US is that the system will take over your kids.
Correct.
And being raised in foster care here is not the best. Is not
It's
the best
not.
of experiences.
But like Mika was saying, I think those are conversations that you have. You're a single person.
Yeah.
Where do you want your kids to go? Like have that.
And
sorted.
probate is the worst to go through because pia kuna court costs 8 to 20%.
So
or
I
whatever
think-
it is.
I think-
so watu wanafaa kujipanga especially kama kuna watoto.
Yeah, and I think
You
it's
know.
important kuwa na checklist or to have like even a booklet. I think that there's actually services out there nowadays that they can help you prepare. They're gonna ask you all the questions and tell you what you need to have in that booklet. So your
Hata
booklet,
tumia AI.
yeah. So your booklet, hii kitu AI might help you, but I think it's also important to just have some guidance with people who maybe have some experience in doing this.
Yes,
Your
true.
booklet sasa, when upon death, you know, like this booklet is now handed over to the next of kin, and it has all the details
Instructions
that are needed, instructions, passwords, and everything, so that you can take care of everything that's needed. Ata probate ikiingia,
Uno nipe tu nini nipe pin.
yes, you guys are already taken care of. And I think it's also important to have a checklist with like emergency contacts.
Yes.
Also, you know, like contacts for a funeral home. I think these are things that people need to know in advance. Kujua kuna casket ya Walmart ya Sonane.
Yeah.
If that's what you can afford, it's important to have
Ama
to
hiyo
know
ndio
these things.
uliweka kwa account.
It's important to actually go interact with these things in advance so that you're not under pressure. You know, like when
Is
something...
it you will be under pressure or the family would be left with the pressure?
So because you don't know who's going to go first.
Understood.
You don't know who's going to... So,
okay.
so both of you...
So whoever.
Both all of you.
Umesema wife akidedi anazikwa kwa kasketi ya Sonane. Kidedi unazikwa kwa kasketi ya Tao Tano.
Hakuna kitu kama hiyo hapo. Kama ni tumesikizana...
Hapana si. Uona wote kwa umeamua kulipea Sonane, yeye atalipea Sonane.
But akishaenda hatajua.
But ndo nasema ndo hivyo
Uno. You know
Hey.
this show is recorded. Say again. Uno.
Mnacheza rafu sana hapa.
Endelea tu kusema rafu na and roll your eyes and
you
then
know,
do your hand like this.
me that's why
Atajuaje akishaenda?
Ndio maana nakwambia wewe unipe tu pin sahihi.
me
Give me
that's
the
why
pin now.
me that's why me I'm happy we do not have to deal with this decision. We all know we're gonna go with our white
Ali,
cloth.
hiyo yenyu after going
Yeah.
through with grandma, you
Yes.
know, may her soul rest
And
in
I'll say
peace.
this also, like for
Yeah.
me,
That
for
was
my uncle, for my uncle who rested, it was a brouhaha, and the
Even
thing
with
is,
instruction.
it even with instructions,
But
with
why?
a will.
But why?
bro, conditioning.
Okay.
Wacha nikwambie, mazo unafikanga huko Ocha kuna wazee wanakuja bwana.
Gathe.
Alafu pia unajua pia.
Hey,
Alafu
bro.
pia family jo.
And this is part one.
Family unajua family pia hawezi kataza mtu wa mono vile anataka kumwona.
Correct.
On this one,
Yes,
no, you
everybody
can't,
mourns
but,
their own way.
But on this one, watu walikangumu, bro.
Another thing that people don't pay attention to is, you know, because we live in two continents, people
Correct.
have mafroti in Kenya.
Yes.
People have bank accounts.
Yes.
People have, unaona saa mtu kama mimi nimeingia stock trading in Kenya. And this is something that maybe I also now need to seriously
To write in
think
that,
about.
To write in that karatasi of yours.
Yeah, because if something happens to me...
Things I have.
Yeah, if something
where
happens
they
to
are.
me,
Yeah.
now do you need a different plan in Kenya as and a different plan in the US?
If the inheritance is going to be different, I would say so. But if you come, like you said, you guys munaandika chini kwa kala ka kitabu before things are divvied out.
Yeah.
If you've written everything down there, then you don't need to do split decision. But
now the thing is, if you've written it here, you see, in Kenya, there's a legal way of doing it. You know, because Kenya kuna these courts, there's a legal way of doing it.
Okay.
But now if we do it in America, the question is, kama nimeandika hapa, can that be taken to Kenya and be valid?
Yes.
Are you saying yes based on what you know?
No, because that is your spouse. You know, the marriage will be recognized. That is your spouse.
Ngoja.
This is
no.
This is
When
the point.
In fact, that is your spouse. That person will be recognized.
Hiyo swali ni fiti sana. Kwa sababu naje kama so JP inheritance wanataka kutax.
Yes.
So
kuna inheritance tax.
Ikifika kwa hiyo point ya kutax, hiyo inheritance nataxiwa na wapi, na Kenya ama na America?
So ndo nasema hiki to
sasa
this
hizo za Kenya, hizo za Kenya unaweza kaina trust, na kama huyo mtu yuko ndani ya hiyo trust
right now
atapata automatically.
This is a very interesting question vile Aliam amesema. It's one of those questions in that we speculate.
We can't speculate.
I can tell you that
honestly, me how I think of, me how if I was me, how I will do it.
Yes,
I will protect myself legally in both sides.
Correct.
So I think we need to find experts to give us the most efficient way.
Somebody does estate law.
The most efficient way of doing this. And someone who understands the Kenyan law and also someone who understands the law here. Because unaweza kuwa umepanga kitu huko, but maybe the American system does not recognize that.
Hata tu ile shamba yenu tu ya ushago pia unaweza taka.
Yeah, that's ancestral.
Wacha hata hivyo, kuna hizi deal uko na mtu ni
zile zijandikwa
ebu nijenge hii nyumba.
Ama zile mimi na Omosh tumefungwa biza hapa. Omosh amemazemika kuna bizi ya samaki.
Yes.
Watu wangapi?
Mika ameka 100k.
Yeah, ama unaona vile niko na, for example, uko na mi vile niko na mabodaboda sasa in Malindi. So vitu kama hizo hapo, ziko 3 sasa.
Ali.
My guys, ziko 3.
Okay, wait.
I'm going to become a boda mogul.
What's that word in Muslims when they say that interest?
Riba.
Ali is at riba stage now. And he's not supposed to be going through these things for riba. He's supposed to be going in to help so that he towards zakat.
But how is that riba?
Ali, boss, at this point, in profit.
Profit is not riba. Profit is not
riba.
Interest. No, yes. Interest and profit are 2 different things.
Okay, so what is
unajua,
how is interest handled?
Omosh kitu umesahau ni.
Omosh.
Yes.
Omosh kitu umesahau. Omosh, consider this.
Yes.
You're supposed to provide for yourself and your family, right?
Yes.
Unaenda shambani kulima upande mmea. Ukiinvest kwa biashara, profit ndo mimea yako yani. So see interest like the profit that comes from your investment, that is your fruits of your labor. Kazi yako. So you're like inatoka riziki yako, hiyo ndo riziki yako umeget.
Let me help Omosh understand the difference between interest and profit.
According to Muslims.
No, but let's even go the conventional way. Let's even go the conventional way.
I just want to know how those interests na profits zinadonjo.
So profit,
according to your life as a Muslim, because sahi pia mimi nataka nikule. Otherwise, I'm taking you to the nini.
So profit, there's a business, there's an underlying business.
Yes.
There's an underlying asset.
Correct.
Yeah, there's a business, or you know, like kuna kitu, you're leasing something, you're renting something, you're buying, you're selling something. With interest, mina kwambia, you know, like nakupatie $100, but nataka unirudishie 105 next month. There's nothing, you know, like nimekupatia pesa, and then just like the way a bank will give you money, and then even if you choose to go do business with the money, whether you make a profit or a loss, you have to pay the bank their interest.
Correct.
Sasa hiyo hapo, hiyo ndo imeharamishwa Kiislamu.
Okay.
Yeah, like whenever there's no, when we have a business, you know, like unaenda, the business is, I bought a motorbike.
Yes.
And I'm leasing it to someone.
Correct.
I'm charging them a daily fee.
Yeah.
So now that is considered, that's a fee, so that's considered profit.
Okay, it's not considered interest.
Yes, it's not considered interest. And the interesting thing about
No pun intended. The interest.
But
let him finish.
The verse that has forbidden interest, they say they will try to confuse you, and this is me paraphrasing, between what's trade, like what's profit in trade, and what's interest. They'll tell you that it looks the
now
same.
I see. Okay, now I see where you're going. Okay.
Yeah, because interest has a fundamental injustice. Talk about any interest.
The gain part. Okay,
No,
I see where you're
interest.
okay.
There's always someone who's suffering. Anytime you're receiving interest, think about it like easy bonds. Like in Kenya, people are buying bonds. For example, this is just a random example. People are buying bonds, and then maybe it's a 15% bond. You pay 10,000, and then they give you 1,500 in interest. Where do they get that 1,500 from? Have you ever asked yourself that question? So you may lend Gava 10K, and then they're giving you 1,500 every year from that 10K.
I don't know. Maybe
where they get
maybe Walinyonga Gachagua. I don't know.
No, they're getting it from. They're getting it from
somewhere else.
They're getting it from taxpayers.
Okay, I see what.
Yeah, they're getting it from taxpayers. So essentially, that's the injustice.
So now they're robbing Peter.
People are protesting because of high taxes.
Yes.
So now, and that's a fundamental injustice. Any interest at a bank, whenever the bank is giving you interest, they're usually
giving you interest. Got it.
When wanakwambia weka savings account, we're gonna give you, 2%. Where are they getting it from?
From their people.
So credit card.
Yes.
They take your money.
Yeah.
Wanapatia mtu mwingine credit card. Niyo pesa si yao.
Yeah.
So like kwa credit card yako, the money that you're using, that money doesn't belong to the bank.
Correct.
It belongs to someone else.
An investment.
So they get a fee from that.
Yeah.
They get 30%, and then wanakwambia watakupatia 2%.
Yes. Alafu wanadonjo na 28.
Yeah. So that essentially, and now look at third world countries. They are now, right now, Kenya pali imefika, unasikia whatever we are paying in, is it in interest, is more than the wage bill of the government.
Yeah.
Yes. Just what we're paying in interest. So that's the essential part why, we're discouraged from naangalia like what those loans have done to third world countries.
So in essence, zile pikipiki zako utuandike kwa kitabu, pia sisi tuongeze mapikipiki, then whichever one of us checks out, huo ndio mutaendelea na business. Next topic. No,
so all the moral of the story is all these things have to be, written down somewhere.
Yes, somebody needs to know. You need to disclose.
Yeah.
You need to disclose and then try to figure out how is it that you want to divvy them up. And people need to know while you're still here so that it's not an issue that people are fighting over when you're not here.
Yeah, because now utaacha watoi wako wanze kufight over wealth, and then now those are kinship ties that are going to be cut, because inheritance ufanya even siblings wakawa hawaongei.
Ay, boss.
Yeah.
Na bado.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. So crazy stuff. So I think in future episodes we need to think about your issue of trusts.
Yes.
Especially from the Kenyan and the American side.
Yes.
And then also the question of burial, because I think that's a big deal. We had not thought about it. We have
no, it is not thought, because everyone defaults to what they have been brought up, and all the body has to go home. And
we have
some people are trying to get it out of it kidogo, but
we have someone who owns a funeral home in the community, and I think she might be a good person to just get us inside and understand what's...
So unasema tuende tufanye show kwa funeral home?
No, tulete the funeral home owner. So now that's the thing is it's not even because okay, because here's the thing, we don't have that information. Your information,
anything is better than nothing is basically what
something is better than nothing, because right now if now we rely on you, you'll be giving us speculation.
Yes.
If you rely on me, I'll be giving you speculation. Unaona sasa mimi nimekuja kudiscover, I would never have known that kuna caskets za 8 sock
895
at
and
Walmart.
it is a 4x4.
Yeah. So I think it's important to get people who have some level of information, whether whatever they say is partially true, but they have more information than we do.
Okay.
Uno, just go with the flow.
Again, I'm going with the flow.
Ama wewe you want to be buried in a $800 casket ya Walmart.
Cremation would
He
be
won't
sour.
care.
Eh?
Cremation
Uno
would
won't
be
care.
sour.
Si
No,
anasema
cremation would be sour.
ulisikia
But
vile alisema he's
Yeah.
already gone at that point.
no, again, no, like again, kama ushaenda BB like because we ask, we banter, but we're like, if you're dead, right?
Correct.
Whether you're buried in a Porsche or a white or a casket or 800 whatever, will you know?
You will still burn eternally if you are meant to burn.
Again, if there's hell.
My guy, you know people are listening.
Do you know if there's Johannam?
Yes, there is.
You've been there.
I haven't been there, and I don't have to be there. Just the same way, when I'm driving my car, I don't have to be inside the engine to know that.
But at least you know, like, if, for example, if something whatever, so you've got insurance. Or if the car,
so let me ask you a question.
If there's a factory recall or whatever, you call
Uno.
call Infinity. Where you got it?
Uno, let me ask you a basic question here.
Yes.
You know, like when for example, like a family member tells you they like you, how do you know that? When they tell you, you know, you're a good uncle, I like you. How do you know they like you?
See, by their actions.
By them telling you.
No. By their actions.
How?
I will know by their actions. So they tell you I like you, but you know, I've seen over time. Okay, I like you, but telling me doesn't mean shit.
But now
telling me doesn't mean shit.
No, but even
see, Kenel can come and tell you that he likes you.
No, but even by action, action.
If Kenel comes and tells you he likes you,
no, but the question that I'm asking, you know, Uno is trying to distract from the point.
No.
Uno is trying to distract from
so
the point.
So Kenel comes and tells you your family tells you he likes you,
or you
but
know,
you
like,
never had interaction.
Yeah,
with him.
no, but no nasema. You know, like how do you know? You know, like how do you know when,
action.
For example, like even if forget about a family member, even if let's say like it's a wife, even if it's a wife or a girlfriend telling you,
it's action.
I love you. How do you know that?
It's action. It's action.
But action.
For Uno, action speak louder than
No.
words.
Exactly, because like now, for example, I know like if I say
so if I cook for you, does it mean I'm doing it because I like you? Because you're saying it's action.
No.
Unajua nini Ali?
Yeah.
Unajua nini
Because
Ali?
Ali
what I'm trying to get at.
Wacha nisaidie Uno,
Yes.
hapa. Unajua nini? Inaweza kuwa kwa sababu unaweza kuwa unapika for the sake of sustenance, right? Lakini mimi kwangu mtu kunifanyia love language yangu ni acts of services. That's how I show my love. Nikikufanyia kitu ni juu nakulike na kufanya. So mimi nikiona mtu amenifanyia kitu nizoona labda na like anafanya hivyo, unaona? It's all depend on different interpretations. Kenya unasema ni unaweza mwambia I love you,
but you don't show it.
Na uoneshi, by kuonesha anasema zile vitu zenye yeye anarecognize kama love.
And by the way,
it's like Trump saying I support black people, but it's fine.
Yeye anarecognize. Unajua kuna watu wenye love kwao ni kupewa pesa. Kuna wale wenye love kwao ni kushikwa mkono. Kuna wale wenye love kwao.
Thank you, Mika.
So Mika, so kuna mtu you know love kwake ni kushikwa mkono, but there's someone who loves them but hamshiki mkono. But yeye kwa mind yake ana assume because hajanishika mkono anipendi. So what I'm trying to get at is that's what you call hidden knowledge. You know, like you just go by what someone tells you and what they show you, but you can't see what's inside. And that's the reason
Yeah,
why.
if you communicate.
Yes,
hamjui kuongea.
and that's the reason why, you know, like and that's what's called hidden knowledge, you know, like you don't know what's inside of someone, and that's the reason why unasikia watu walikuwa na get along vizuri, and then ukasikia siku moja walikosana, mtu akakuja kamua, and then unasikia, oh, but I trusted him, you trusted him, but you don't know what's inside. So my question here is, and I think part of the problem is within these education systems that we've gone through, we've been taught, if you can't see it, if you can't feel it, it doesn't exist. And I think that's a very, very big problem that the world is experiencing. And that's the reason why utakuta mtu anauliza, you know, like anauliza certain questions on maybe a field that you have expertise in. Then anauliza question just because they haven't seen and they haven't felt it. This thing doesn't exist. Yeah.
Shida ni tuko na lot of individualism in life.
Yeah.
Tumefundishwa to a point that we are so important, we matter, that hata tunaona kama hatujui kitu, vile umesema hai-exist. So, and then we don't want to learn. We assume that we are smarter and better and greater than anybody. When we want to go to any interaction with anybody, we want to gain more than everybody. Like the world is so, kila mtu hujifikiria, like people are selfish.
And I think that is why this show or this environment has taught me a lot to really study, read, get to know things, because I don't know a lot. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
At all. Today, umenifunza kitu. Like in terms of like, you know, like the burial, the process, like there's a lot I do not know.
Yeah.
Right? And I also hope that you learned that what you see internally, there's a mechanism in there that controls that we can get out of, but already we are programmed in such a way that that is how we do things.
That's a current state.
It is a current state. So like even
the operating system.
Yeah, that's the operating system. Like, okay, 30,000 is going to take you so far when you're in Kenya.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis 30,000 is really not going to take you here. So, but it is the idea that, you know what, this show makes me like, okay, let me expand the knowledge. Let me learn Hinduism. Let me learn something else.
But with a lot of very wealthy people in Kenya opting to go away in very simple ways. When we look at, for example, like General Ogola, doesn't this also and even look at Baba, for example, you know, despite
72 hours,
despite his
72,
you know, like despite the stature that he had in Kenya, he wanted to be buried within 72 hours.
Yes.
Don't you think this is also maybe an opportunity for now people to start slowly moving from the current state, which is not good, which is very expensive?
100%.
Yeah.
Because remember, we always say...
No, Ali, I agree with you on the term, but then also let's not lie to ourselves. Those two people's burials are not cheap.
So okay.
They were not cheap at all.
And I get, I think let me speculate.
I get the urgency. The thing is this:
the urgency and what you want,
and then they know.
His stature.
These are people who know that based on my stature in society,
yes,
this is gonna be elongated too long. It will take away the grieving from my family.
Yeah.
So they put that short period of bury me within a certain time, so that you let the family to get more time to grieve and take away the limelight from its nannies. You know, when there's a limelight on the burial, the family really doesn't get to grieve because they're on the spotlight. And in where we come from, if you're a prominent person, we want to elongate your body. Tunataka mazishi yako ikuwe refu to celebrate sana. Like sijui kwa nini.
But
Right?
think about
But
it.
watu wanapenda hizo nini hiyo like wanataka they want to as many people to come and bury you. So the thing is, these are people who understand and they've come to vile tunasema watu jite mkutano ukubalini kuta happen, and once you accept this is going to happen, you also got to accept that it's going to cause grief to your people, and you consider them in making your decisions. Most of the people who make these decisions za kuziko mapema, kufanya kitu ndogo fupi fupi, wanga wanajua the most important thing is wacha nipunguzie watu wangu burden, ni wapate time ya kugrief. Because umesha accept death ni inevitable inakuja na itaumiza watu wako.
Because think about it. What if Baba had prepared his followers and said, Mimi, in case niende, nataka 2 days, atastaki mambo mengi.
Wangezusha.
What would have happened?
Yeah, wangezusha ziko in 2 days.
Even if
it would have been a problem. It would have been a problem.
Because you're talking about stature.
It
Vis-a-vis somebody who's just a regular bloke. That one would have been complicated. You see, like, but if Baba was Muslim, right?
Yeah.
What would have happened?
Like President Muhammadu Buhari, you saw the way he was buried in Nigeria. He was buried, like in just a regular...
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Baba was a man of everyone. Doesn't matter the faith, but he was Christian. There's no way it would have happened. He probably would have said, I don't want a eulogy or whatever. And guess what? Ended up being an eulogy. But the person who would have probably facilitated would have been Mama Ida. But still, my fans, and that's the problem, right? And I mean, when I say the problem, that is the hiccup, that is the bump, that is whatever.
Yeah, I think now people have been cultured to this big funerals, and I think that's now the expectation, and especially like in cultures, Western Kenya and Nyanza, whereby if someone dies, people are already showing up.
It's a celebration.
Yeah, people are showing up from everywhere.
Yeah.
And they are coming at your place.
Yes.
So I think, it's a very heavy burden, especially on regular families.
Right.
There are families that are wealthy, but on regular families,
yes,
that's a very heavy
and
burden.
you brought up something.
Alafu capitalism imejai forgive.
Of course.
Capitalism pia ndio imekuja imeingia huko siku hizi upatii watu kideri kwa matanga. Hawezi.
Why are you saying Githeri? Like, what are you trying to say? But you know there's that guy who was a millionaire, billionaire, alikuja na helicopter. No, I'm just joking, boss.
Mimi sikulagi Githeri kwa sababu mimi kwangu uassociate Githeri na struggle. Nimekula Githeri when I was young. Unajua kama kushago alafu usijui kuna mataka mnapitia watu walikuwa wanakula Githeri dry. Like dry, boil imeboiliwa tu hivyo na chumvi. Baya na high school.
Me I will I will still, by the way,
it was known as kama food ya matanga.
Let me tell you.
These days it doesn't happen. Vile Ali amesema, hizi watu taka catering.
Correct.
I to this day, because I Githeri. I went to boarding when I was 12. Githeri was
a staple.
To this day.
Yeah.
I find Githeri in the household.
Yeah.
I cool it. Because I will bomo it and whatever.
Yeah.
But that is just me though.
Yeah.
But what I will say, I think it's a conversation that you need to have with your loved ones. If you're a single parent.
First, you need to have it with yourselves.
Thank you. Kubali matokeo.
Yeah.
Utakufa.
Yeah, we'll all die.
We'll all die.
Yeah.
Then, on top of that, if you're a single parent, make sure once you have that conversation, then please facilitate how you're going to facilitate in case you're not here. What is going to happen, especially here. I don't know about Kenya, but I'm talking about here.
And start with the basics.
It's the basics
bank account.
Bank account, watoi, nini, hapa, na hapa. And then, how do you want to be? Because let me tell you, for the last few months, I've been talking, you talk to Relas, whatever. OneMic, have you talked to your mother? Have you done this? Because as ingine, we are our own subject matter experts. Period. that one I know we can assume Ali in terms of something happened, but internally in terms of wealth, whatever, will atujui. Omosh, I don't know. Mika, I don't know. You guys don't know. But in case anything is to happen, the few $100 you have at one bank account, whatever, zitaenda wapi, whatever, your whatever. Debt is one thing. I don't know about
and
debt.
then Pia, at places of work, people have all these plans, and people normally renew every year, and they don't pay attention. So I think those are things that people
those are other
also
things
need
that
to
also
know.
like at your work, like in case they're offering whatever, and that is where sometimes it's good
And
to
take
get a
them.
financial expert.
in case there's a death benefit.
There's a death
being offered
benefit.
at
What
work.
is best? And I guess again, Ibu put that on your whatever. What a death benefit? Who offers the best? Your bank, your Jobo, whatever, Costco, whatever it is. What is good for you? And then ultimately, in case you decide to go to hell or heaven, how do you want to go, or how do you want your body managed? I know it is a hard conversation.
It's not a hard
In as
conversation.
much
It's
as
just reality.
Once
Reality that we need to address, and I think the problem is we've not been brought up to address it, and so we don't look at it as a must do. We look at it as a by the way, but it's actually a must do. Because it's going to happen.
Because once you go, it doesn't matter what happens in the land of the living. Oh, shaenda.
Correct.
Yes.
Now, Atieno Jimbo is saying,
oh, shaenda. Come on, enda Johanna, umeenda. Come on, enda Binguni, umeenda.
no, before hapo unaingia adhabul kabr kwanza.
So that's purgatory.
No, hapana adhabul kabr. Just the way it's on the adhabu ya kaburi. You know, like there's
adhabu ango.
Yeah.
You go before judgment. Sawa, unaenda huko.
Yeah.
But we don't know. But you know, again, you assume is
hidden knowledge, my guy. Hidden knowledge.
But hakuna mtu ameshai kurudi kusema mazeni metoka hapo adhabu ya kaburi.
No, hidden knowledge,
But
my
carry
guy.
on.
Hidden knowledge. Elders are listening to you. You'll be summoned, my guy. You'll be summoned.
Kwanza wewe kesho.
Yeah.
I lose 10 a.m. like this.
Yeah.
We need to talk.
Atieno Jimbo anasema you guys are forgetting that some people do not like to reveal how much wealth they have because wanaweza kutumwa mbinguni, if you get my point, before their time, so that someone can take their wealth. But now it depends on who you're revealing it. You're not revealing it to the whole world.
I don't think you're supposed. What we were saying was not necessarily to reveal. We just say panga the things so that there's some order to it.
There's order to that case.
So I think in a future episode we need to come from the very basics. What are the basic things that people can start doing from tomorrow? You know, like you can go to your bank, you can go to your brokerage account.
Add that person on your bank account so that at least watakuwa na access in case of kuna kale
payable on death.
Yes, that's what it's called, right? A POD. The POD.
Are you gonna add your wife or are you gonna add your kids?
Whichever way.
Or your husband,
depending.
It depends.
So now, if the kids are minors, of course, like it has to be someone who can get access. A minor cannot go access those accounts. So if the kids are adults, that's why I like our situation, because we have prescribed percentages that go to huyu na huyu. So hiyo hapo hakuna argument, hakuna debate. However, there's the 30%. That you can give it to anyone. And anyone who's entitled in your line of succession, anyone who's entitled cannot be in the 30%.
Got it.
So that means you have to designate them. Kule.
Yes. So anyone, like you have sons, you have daughters, you have a wife, you have a parent.
They are not in the 30%.
They cannot be in the 30%. So this 30%.
You're born out of son wedlock, you got 30%.
Yes, you can ndani 30%. If you have an adopted child, 30%. If you have, like maybe someone you helped raise, si mtoto wako, ndani 30%.
You have a mosh,
your favorite butler.
You have a friend. You have the OneMic Show, 30%.
If you want to live, akuna hiyo hapo. Mwezi kula 30%.
We just asked to be in the 30%.
Hiyo 30%. Share yangu ya OneMic Show iko kwa hiyo 30%. Sasa hiyo hapo hiyo ndawaachia sasa.
Okay,
Zile
sawa.
profits zitakuja kutoka hapo.
Yeah.
Hiyo hapo
Tusosi.
hiyo hapo mnaweza kusosi.
Ati daburangoa,
That one, Daburangoa.
daburkabar.
Daburangoa.
Yeah.
Daburangoa.
So I think na hiyo 30%, that limit is to protect those who are entitled. Huwezi kusema
Okay.
huyu mtoi
You see,
did
that's a
not
very
take
good
care of
system.
me.
Christians should have this.
Yeah. Huwezi kusema huyu mtoi did not take care of me, so a party inheritance.
No.
It doesn't matter.
According to the
It doesn't matter even if they threaten
according
to
to
kill
the
you.
rules,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
second
but-
chapter when they were telling you these are the
Ngojeni,
true.
ngojeni.
All right, we're about to wrap this puppy up. Sorry,
Yes,
go ahead.
Nilikuwa nitakuuliza mmeangalia saa.
Si ndio?
Oh
Ndio,
yeah.
Unajua
kupiga
tunangoja.
No, Ali ndio alikuwa amepata second wind.
Hapana, ni Uno Mike ndo aliextend when alianza kuongea ati sijui
Aya,
this
basi
exists.
summarize.
Alikuwa na deny. He was denying some signs that
Summarize that our next show
because
is going
because
to
he
be,
has not
our
seen.
next show is we're going to have paper 2 and we'll come in with the yellow with the is it gonna be
Before
a
we
blue
wrap
paper?
up,
It'll be
you
a
know
blue
that
paper.
next week. So next week.
Next week, by the way, I am out of town for a niece's graduation. Hiyo
Kwani us we don't graduate. Why is your niece more important? than
Awendi
us?
Cape Via.
eh?
That is
Wait,
Wewe
to
kwa
wait,
nini
wait,
unauliza
Cape
hiyo
Fear ni
swali?
when? June
Cape Fear is
20th,
not
your
this
side.
one, it's the next
It's the
one.
next one.
Now
the
with
next
Cape
one.
Fear being at the same time as the World Cup. Unajua by the way next week World Cup inaanza.
Inaanza.
Correct.
Yeah, Mexico versus South Africa. I don't know whether people will be supporting Mexico because of the xenophobia in South Africa. I don't know. That's what some people are saying.
Anyway, we shall see. But I think what we'll do is huyu atatupatia ratiba ya the next show so that we can have a show next
Yeah.
week. So
Yes,
even if he's not here.
but then we need to figure out what experts we need to. You didn't seem enthusiastic about a funeral home expert because you felt that
Wait,
No,
wait.
no, 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 no,
Wait,
no,
wait.
no.
I
Wewe
think we can
wakuje.
talk offline.
yeah he did,
Yes.
but he didn't look enthusiastic.
No, we can talk offline. Achana na
He
hiyo.
did-
Kuna
I think he
achana
liked-
na hiyo. Kuna
I
zingine
think he liked the $800 casket. Yeah, Walmart.
Actually, I don't even prefer that.
I think
the
he
pine.
liked, yeah.
The pine.
Gani hiyo?
Nikishaenda nimeshaenda. Story iko wapi?
He says he doesn't care. Even
You
if
don't care.
I'm like a Muslim.
Even if you throw
in
him
fact,
in
if
nini.
I was in Mecca, like whatever, see, kaende.
Even if you throw
Shida
him in
iko
the
wapi?
fire, ni same same.
Hizi ni vitu mnasema saizi. Hizi ni vitu mnasema.
Hiyo ndio kitu-
Nishaenda.
No, hiyo ndio kitu anasema.
Nishaenda.
Yeah.
Now it's the
Unaweza
people who are
mambo
left
kwa-
behind.
Kama
that we
nishaenda,
have to do.
nishaenda. It is more important for the people who have been left.
Walmart na nini na 1.5 liter ya Jameson uko ndani.
Hapana, si Jameson.
Atakuwa sawa.
Hata hiyo hapana. Lakini maybe in the afterlife mengine I'll find something better.
Hebu tenda kukunywa milk and honey.
Huko nasema kuna mtu ameenda.
I said maybe.
Kina uno na kutumia hiyo asali ya binguni kutengeneza muratina.
I said maybe.
Mzee, wewe elders are listening to you.
And you know what
You will be summoned, my guy.
and you know what the summoning will mean?
Yeah.
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up. Mika, out up in this mother.
Unapenda kurapi kitu.
Lazima wrap, boss.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while. The whole of May. Hatukuwaona.
Mazee watu sijui.
Anyway, we are back. I think we are back. Maybe we are back. We don't know. But we are back. We will figure it
We are
out.
hanging in there as we are back, but we are back as we hang.
We'll figure it out. But all in all, it's been a good show. And again, a genuine conversation. Tumefika your age, we need to set ourselves in order. We
Absolutely.
never know what tomorrow brings.
Correct.
But all in all, summer is here. Remember, don't drink and drive. If you're drinking, Uber is cheaper than a DUI. But enjoy yourselves, take care of yourselves, and see you next Friday.
Asante, Bwana Mikasi. And again, thanks to our fans, those who called in, those who listen, the new folks, people on YouTube, people on Facebook, wale watu wanatuchangia, or should I say, as Mikasi calls them, wachangiaji. Asanteni sana. Yeah, this is a topic that we've just scratched the surface, but at least, hopefully, what you get out of this is you go back, sit down, and discuss, talk, have some actions, have an action plan, just the same way as you have an action plan of getting out of the house in a fire. This is one of those things that you also need to do because it's coming. It's not at when, it's a matter of when. it's going to come. So prep for it, and basically you can prep to prepare those around you to be able to absorb you not being there, and make it much easier. That's basically, at the end of the day, that's what we are trying to do, or that's what that's the goal, because we've seen it happen around us and we've had to rally and help. And it doesn't mean you don't rally and help, but if we are all on the same page, then the rallying and helping is not at that much of burdensome, should I say, impact, so to speak. And these things continue to happen all over the place. And it's not an age thing. It's not an easy vitu zinafanyika. So with that said, enjoy your weekend. I think it's supposed to be a hot one, eh? At least
It's a scorching one.
Yes. I think tunatuanga ma 90s at least until Monday or Tuesday, and then things might nini. So enjoy hizo ma 90s, sijui umweke sijui ma suntan lotion,
Mpake
sijui nini.
sunscreen mkienda kuchoma nyama mpake sunscreen na mkienda kuswim.
Hizo. Yes. Now, in case you want to swim without sunscreen, just be underwater the whole time. Then you'll be okay. The race might not get you, but you'll be underwater, bwana Omera. Why you gine? Okay, anyway, you want to avoid burning, so just use that sunscreen. But enjoy the weekend. It's beautiful weather. It's supposed to be nice weather. So I would advise chaps, go out and enjoy the outdoors. Just, be careful. With that said, tune in next week. I'll see you.
Asante sana DJ Omosh Fire. Nimesahau leo stock market ilichapa mbaya sana.
But isn't this what should happen? Up, down,
no,
up,
yeah,
down.
yeah.
There's
That's
some
right. That's
that are
right.
little off,
Because
but you hang in there.
Yeah, I feel like it's still very overvalued. So I think these things zitaendelea
Now, when you say stock market, I have to ask, is it NSC or we're talking about Harper?
zote.
Okay.
Yeah, zote.
Okay.
Like the S&P
So
500.
what triggered it?
Huh?
What triggered it?
I'm not even sure what triggered it. I haven't looked at.
Okay.
But the market has been going up for a couple of weeks now, which it has been trending hot. The other
Guoko iko karibu kuisha.
the other thing that imedunda ni Bitcoin, but hizo ni stories are another day. Again, and that's the reason why sometimes you're told to diversify
portfolio.
Yeah, but again, asante sana for tuning in. We will come up with now informational episodes, once we get the right experts to help people start from the very beginning. What do you start doing? What can you start doing next week? Like to secure your loved ones, to secure your family in case something happens to you. I think that's where we need to start this conversation from, because I think the problem is that people start this from the top. Someone is looking to buy a $1 million insurance policy, paying I don't know how many hundreds of dollars a month, when there's certain basics here, like who will take care of your minor child, like if you fall tomorrow, that has not been addressed. And that's how children end up children who came from very stable environments ending up in foster
Maybe
care.
it's the godparents.
Hii godparents, hii ni kitu ya movie. Kama mjaandikiana,
Kama
but
there are people who are very serious about the godparent thing, and they go and they do the thing now, wanaenda kwa hiyo
Yeah, our good wanataka like legally they put
that's
it
what
there,
the
like
godparent is supposed to do.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
sasa wewe umekatu mtu godparent tu ile tu ya best
hii wa Kenya wanakopi, amesikia godparent kwa movie. I'm your godparent, but hakuna kitu imeandikwa.
Ambia uno
Yeah.
hivyo andikishe nani Gofu, so Gofu knows what's supposed to happen.
No, but
easy stories are sijati. I think wewe please,
I hope.
Yeah.
But anyway, kwa hayo machache
Should we be congratulating Rehema?
Kwa hayo machache yote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile 1800 mteule. Na operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Yeah. Your niece Rehema, who was here on the show? graduated from UMD
Imagine.
and is
Oh,
going to
wow.
Colombia.
We should have
Oh,
been
master's
at a
program.
graduation
Nice.
with our ninis, our sisal skirts and our that Kabul one.
and that one.
Ile tuna-
even
that
that vuvuzela.
Yes,
Yes.
niyajue tuko hapa. Yani,
Yes.
is it called embarrassing.com? That should have been us.
Yes.
You know,
Public School of Public Health.
Yeah,
Man.
my
Going for
younger
masters.
sister
That's-
graduated
yes.
Loyola. Loyola was walikuwa na what do you call it in this part of downtown Baltimore. That's where
See,
the
Royal Farms.
graduation.
Well, it used to be for Royal Farms.
Yeah, it's
Arena.
Royal
Merit,
Farms, yeah.
Oh,
Pale-
that's
Pale
where
Howard
they
Street.
did
That's-
their nini.
That's where the Loyola
They've
graduation
changed the
was.
name.
Ah.
They keep changing the
They've
name of
changed
that
the name.
arena.
It's no longer Royal
Merit-
Farms?
No, it's something else.
Yeah.
Merit.
Merit.
They've
Merit
changed the
something-
names. I don't remember the name, but
Yeah.
that's where the graduation was.
Downtown Pale on Baltimore Street.
Nakulija.
Yeah. Oh, boss.
Yeah, and the
On
place.
Russell.
Downtown Baltimore.
On
Yeah.
Russell or something.
Russell, Howard, like I know it down like in
Okay.
the Katikati.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations to her.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah, yeah.
wait, does that mean that also Nani's daughter graduated or she was ahead?
Nani?
Pape.
Yeah, Pia,
Oh, yeah, she graduated.
Graduate Pia, yeah.
Junior class.
Yeah.
Whatever. I
Oh,
think it was
wow.
at the same place, no?
The same place, yeah.
Yes,
See,
because
they're
I saw
all
a
same
picture.
school.
I saw the picture of them.
Yeah, they're the
Up
same
downtown
school.
Baltimore.
Yeah,
Man,
congratulations.
congratulations.
Tulikuwa
Aye.
tumeka the
Hey,
same
Ali,
area.
umengangana.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I know.
It was just the other day the girl was good. They were going to college.
Yeah, I know.
Amemaliza
Siku za
boss.
handai.
Amemaliza.
Haya, when the handai was at its peak.
Yeah, when it was at its peak.
Amemaliza.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's still around though, right? I mean,
I think it sounds like he must have sent it to the Nini Ali graveyard.
Hapana ilipata fenda and then wakasema watanipatia do yote nikaichukua. I
Okay.
took the money.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Unaona? What did I say about kupewa pesa? Huyu.
Unasikia?
Yes.
Lakini unajua he was
Atuweke kwa
facilitating.
30%.
Eh.
Otherwise, tunaenda kwa nini?
We'll go arbitration.
Yes, we are going.
Congratulations, Rehema. Who else? Okay, sawa. Aiden Daddy loves you.
Rehema to Pape's daughter and
Magina.
Alice's.
Magina, boss.
The girls.
The girls.
The girls. It's all the girls.
It's all the girls.
Yeah.
They're all girls.
Call them
All
the
girls.
girls.
It's all the girls.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can see where he's going.
It's all right. Nah, Chana. We understand.
Magoogling na manini.
No, we understand.
Na inaitwa
Hey, sign out tuende bwana.
Aiden Daddy
Like
loves you,
whisper,
Jerry
whisper
Daddy
hapo.
loves you. Aiden Daddy loves you, Jerry
Yeah.
Daddy loves you, Nemo Daddy loves you. Until next week, be blessed.
Peace.